Are we good to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good morning. Welcome to the joint meeting of the Steamship Authority Board and Port Council for our strategic plan work session. As we get going today, I would like to inform everyone that Sean Driscoll, the authority's communication director, is making an audio and video recording of today's meeting. Is there anyone else making an audio recording of today's meeting? If so, please identify yourself. If you are joining virtually, please use the raise your hand icon on the Zoom dashboard, or if you're joining by phone, by pressing *9 on your keypad. And when you are recognized, please state your name for the record.
Unky from the Envy Times.
Okay, pursuant to section 20 of chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021 as amended, board and or port council members, I'm not sure who's there, may be participating remotely in today's meeting because their physical attendance today would be unreasonably difficult. I am one of those, obviously, who's participating remotely. But we are all using the Zoom conferencing app, and all members will be clearly audible to each other. Hopefully everyone can hear me. As a result of these members' remote participation in this meeting, any and all votes taken by the members today will be by roll call vote. Now I would turn it over to, I guess, Mr. Davis.
Actually, we'll be just make an announcement here. So in terms of it, we're going to be turning it over to a team from Raptilus. So with us today, you want to make the introductions? And, okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Just go take the reins.
Go right ahead.
All right, well, good morning, still morning, so thank you all very much. I'm Julia Novak. Talked with all of you, I think, at some point as part of this project. And some of you have met Emily Usselton with our team. We also have with us today Janae Janet and Julie Giesby. Julie is a visual facilitator and she'll be doing some captures of today's conversations. And Janae and Emily have been working on the environmental scan and some of the work that we've done yesterday. So you'll hear from all of us at some point during the day today. And so I'm just gonna start, if you're ready for me to just start. So let me tell you what our plan is for the day. So our agenda. We're going to do some quick introductions and just get everyone's thoughts about expectations for today in the room. Give you the quick Reader's Digest, remember what we're doing, what is strategic planning overview. And then Emily is going to walk you through the environmental scan. I want to have a conversation about that this morning. I know you all got a copy of the environmental scan as part of your packet in preparation for today's meeting. There's a spot in your workbook. You'll are being so good. I'm really proud of you. For me to take notes or write down questions that you have. We will probably take our lunch break after that conversation. So lunch will be ready noonish, but it will wait for us for a little late. If we need to break with the conversation, we will. But then we're going to shift gears and really start talking about the future, the vision, and the outcomes that you all are looking for the Steamship Authority. I want to review the work that the senior staff did yesterday on articulating the organizational values. And despite starting about 45 minutes late, I know there are interested in a 4:45 or 3:45 ferry. And I'm not going to promise anything, but I know that. Otherwise, our plan was to be done around 4 o'clock. And we'll see. I always say I'm prepared to start late and finish early, so that's what people expect. So we'll see how we go today. Always depends more on you than it does on me. So let's just begin with some introductions. I'm going to invite each of you to kind of remind us who you are in your role in the organization. It'll be good for my colleagues who haven't met you to hear that. And then share an expectation that you have for the work that we will be doing today. And anyone can volunteer, the person on their right to go second. Oh, great.
That's your expectation.
There you go. John Cagle, I'm a Port Council member for the town of Tisbury. And my expectation is to make sure that we improve our communications.
Okay,
And vision.
thank you.
You know, so you're on my right.
Yeah,
I'm Joe Saluda, student, I'm the board council, both reps. I'm just gonna reiterate. Communication is very.
Bob Davis, general manager. In terms of just coming up with a vision for, where the organization needs to be going.
thank you. And you're also go by Bob, correct?
I'm Bob.
Okay,
Bob
so
Jones,
we go sit next to each other.
Bob Jones, town of Barnstable. I think it's important that we improve our identity, through all the boards.
Okay, thank you. Paul?
Paul has Stacy, the board captain, a vision to be getting better every day, already getting better.
Thank you. Newmark, that's what I call him.
I'm Mark Higgins, I'm the Chief Operating Officer. For today, we have a vision and a direction in which to.
Thank you. Jim?
Yeah, Jim Malkin, board member, Arts Junior. Resident Center.
Wait, I thought that was him.
Okay. And my desire and expectation is that we come out with something that is actionable, measurable, and possible.
Like that. Thank you. But,
Bud Rialt, the town of Barnstable, Port Council member, and I echo what I've heard on the rest of the table here.
okay. Thank you. Sean?
Sean Driscoll, I'm the communications director, and my hope is that whatever comes out of today, like what Jim said, is actionable and measurable so that the staff can help have clear direction as to what needs to be implemented.
Thank you.
I'm Rob.
You're a Rob.
I'm a Rob.
Yeah.
Okay, good, Rob. And.
Rob and Mark.
Yeah.
I am the Port Council member from Falmouth. And I have been a proponent of doing this for quite some time, so I'm looking forward to having this action, to see what actions and measures might come out.
Great. And so then I'll go to the next Rob, who's virtual. Rob?
Hi, Rob Ranny. I am the board member from Nantucket, and my expectations are very small. I expect you to solve all the problems and make all the customer complaints go away.
Excellent, excellent. Renegotiate fees and just put in it. So thank you so much, Rob, and I appreciate, I know you have a town meeting this week and appreciate you participating. Mark?
Absolutely.
Mark Brosum, Treasurer of the Steamship Authority. I agree with the comments earlier from Jim and Sean is identifying a roadmap and key attainable quantifiable goals.
Mark?
I'm Mark Grace, board council member from Fairhaven. I guess my expectations are that hopefully as a result of this strategic planning, we'll be able to continue to build upon the improvements that the Steamship Authority has made in recent years.
Peter?
I'm Peter Jeffrey, I'm the board member from the town of Falmouth. I'm not a Mark or a Bob or a Rob. Yes. I would kind of echo Jim Malkin that we come up with something actionable, measurable. And I have to say, when, like with Rob said here, I was shocked that we didn't have a strategic plan when I came on board. So I really think to move forward, we need to have a common vision and a way of measuring our success against
Sharon?
Terrence Canelli, I'm General Counsel of the Steamship Authority. I think that I just celebrated my 5th year here yesterday.
That's all?
Well, I want to reiterate that since I got here, it's been a constant movement towards improvement. I want to see that continue because I think we have a lot of good momentum and a lot of good people here. So if we can incorporate that into our strategic plan, that would be vital.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, I am. Council. Here, I guess I would echo Jim's and Sean's points, but I would like to say it my way. I call it doing the right thing. Day to day. That's our biggest struggle is to do the right thing. We're really good at the big stuff. But the small stuff is hard. And while the strategic plan mindset is very sort of modern thinking, we have to be able to do both. We have to be able to empower employees that are, you know, whether it be the terminal agents, captains, crew members, to be able to do the right thing without you know, being nervous about it, at the same time having a real clear 5-10 year planning process versus the long term. You need to have all those three things.
I'm Allison Fletcher, Director of Historic Operations, and, yeah, I said everything now, I guess, but I do agree with what John said, and even with that, we do have a couple of. Yes, I agree with you. You know, we need to make sure it's as much the small stuff as the big stuff.
Excellent. Well, except for solving all the problems and fix everything kind of a thing, I think we're in a good spot for what we're planning to do today. Whenever I work with a group of people, I like to just have a set of norms, kind of how we'll agree to work together today. So first, listen with respect, and when I say that, I just mean no interrupting, no talking over, disagree agreeably. Tiernan, I know you're all excited to be physically present in the same room, but let's try to not have little sidebar conversations because they're distracting. I hope as we embark on this strategic planning project and developing the framework, that you really will be bold today, that you'll think about a bold vision for the Steamship Authority. As you work with one another, you'll be both positive, tempered with a little bit of realism. That's Jim's kind of achievable piece of this. Candid and honest with one another. Engaged and fully present. That's a lot of the times about technology, which takes us out of the room. But make sure your phones are on vibrate and things like that. We'll take some breaks and give you opportunities to be in communication if you need to. And then patient and self-aware, kind of aware. Patient with your colleagues as they take the time they need to take to say things, and then aware of your own behavior that's impacting the group. We're going to work really hard to achieve consensus today. Consensus to me is a very strong form of agreement. It's not just okay, but it's really you all sharing an excitement for the framework that we're going to work on today. And we're going to spend a day together. Let's have a little bit of fun. So a quick reminder, strategic planning 101, kind of what we've been working on. When people talk to us about strategic planning or ask us what it is, I say it's just the answer to 3 questions. What do we know to be true today? So where are we? And we're going to answer that question with that environmental scan. That was the purpose of the work that we've been doing for the last several months. And then where do we hope we'll be in the future? That's what you're going to articulate today, is that vision that you all have for the Steamship Authority. And then the things that must go well in order to make it so. We're going to walk out of here today with that draft strategic planning framework. The framework itself contains those key elements, the vision, which is that aspirational statement about what you hope the organization will be known for in the future. The mission statement, kind of who you are and why you do what you do, that was very well developed several years ago. It's not being reconsidered as part of this process. The values are the things that guide or behavior of your workforce. We say they exist, whether they have been articulated or not. We did a lot of work digging into what employees said that they observed in their colleagues when they were at their best. So yesterday, the senior staff spent some time distilling that information and coming up with specific values that they want to begin reinforcing in the organization. We'll share those with you as part of today's work. And then you all will identify the outcomes, those big buckets of things that must go well to make the vision a reality. So that is what we are here to do today. And with that, Just a reminder about process. So we are here in the area that's outlined. When we finish today, we will be ready to begin soliciting feedback from the member communities and your customers and key stakeholders on the vision and the outcome areas. We will be doing that both with a survey as well as some in-person meetings between May and July of this year. And then we will be back together with you all in August, and we'll share all that information with you. And we will finalize the framework and begin identifying some key strategies from your all's perspective of things you want to do in order to move the needle in the proper direction or the success areas. After that, we'll take a little bit of a pause while we let the organization do their budget work in end of August and September. And we'll be back towards the end of October to begin working on implementation planning with the organization. We'll wrap the whole thing up and bring it to you for approval at your December joint board meeting. So that is our plan for the remainder of the year. Questions about that?
Could you I heard you say it, but just to reiterate, a lot of the questions I've been getting is how the public can participate in this. So can you
Yes.
talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we will have a survey that it'll be to get feedback specifically on the vision and outcome areas that we will have out there. And we've got some ideas for getting the word out and handing out little cards with QR codes on them to anybody that gets on the ferry or vessels or anything. We also will be doing community meetings. One on Martha's Vineyard, one in Nantucket, one in Barnstable, one in Falmouth, and we're also going to do two, kind of one each way. We're going to do some meetings on the ferry where we'll invite people who happen to be on the ferry that day to give us their feedback on the framework of the strategic plan. So that's kind of our approach to doing that, and it'll be happening, over the next 6+ weeks.
Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else? Okay, well then I am going to turn it over to my colleague Emily to walk you through the environmental scan.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to present some of what we've learned over the first few months of the project. And the short version is there's a lot to learn. So I'm probably telling you things that most of you already know, especially the staff that have been here a good while, but it was certainly fun and interesting to learn really more information like the Steamship Authority. All right, so let's start foundationally with what did we use as sources to answer the question that Julia mentioned, which is what do we know to be true today? What's the context that we're working within so that we can use that information to facilitate the next two questions of where do we want to be and how do we get there? So starting on the quantitative side, there was no shortage of information here. So the Steamship Authority puts out a wealth of data publicly online on the website. We took advantage of that data for some of what we looked at. We complemented it with some of the federal agency data that's out there, Census Bureau, U.S. Department of Transportation, does a national census of ferry operators, cost of living data. And then on the qualitative side, we just talked with a lot of folks. So we started with the board and port council members, doing interviews and getting their input. We also engaged employees across a variety of areas. We were here at both the Hyannis and Woods Hole terminal. We held a focus group here with the administrative staff. Did one boat ride back and forth and talked with some of the employees, and then we met with the senior management team and talked about strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, challenges, and really some of the external factors that are influencing operations today. And then finally, kind of based on the information from the board and port council interviews, we met with member communities and stakeholders, did their input and legislators as well. So members from Barnstable, Falmouth, Nantucket, and all right, so let's start with sort of the operating context as we gleaned from all of the information and all the conversations that we had. And when we thought about it, we really sort of, to answer the question, what do we know to be true today, we kind of parsed it between external and internal. So the top half of this pie chart, or the pie here in 4 slices, are kind of the external factors we thought about. So what's the customer profile look like? What's the cost of living in general living conditions in this region? And then the red salmon color that looks like on this one is more of the internal factors. financial planning that goes into the operation, the work for the employees that make all of this go. So starting with the customer profile, what jumped out of the page to us was the amount of population growth on the islands. It's pretty significant, particularly in the last decade plus. Martha's Vineyard is 25% since 2000 census, and Nantucket was about 40%. And while there was population growth in the mainland counties that we also included, which were Bristol and Barnstable County, as well as the two towns, they were in line with what the state of Massachusetts had seen over the last several decades. So the islands were certainly kind of outlier in terms of growth in population that we saw. And then from there, you took a little bit deeper dive, separated the two islands and looked at traffic trends, because you have 25 years worth of traffic trends available for public consumption. So we looked at that information a little bit closer. And so starting with Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket, what you'll see here are really two lines on each chart. There's a line for passengers and there's a line for vehicles. For this purpose, vehicles, both automobiles and your commercial freight trucks, kind of lumped together. Obviously, the passenger rate of traffic is much higher than the vehicle rate. So you have sort of two axes going. But sort of looked at that over the last 25 years and imposed a linear trend line so you can see what has been the change over those 25 years. And what we found is that across the board, passenger traffic on average has been pretty flat in the last 25 years. The same is true really for vehicle trends or automobile trends in Nantucket, but not so much for Martha's Vineyard. So Martha's Vineyard has seen roughly 22% in growth of vehicle traffic over time from steamship authority services back and forth. The other thing that we did look at that has remained relatively steady, but I think it's important context is that when you think about who your customers are, 80% of customers are going to Martha's Vineyard back and forth, 20% roughly are going to Nantucket, and that's remained pretty stable over the last 25 years. All right, nothing new here, I don't think, to most of you folks. This is to highlight that it's expensive to live in this region, as many of you know. So you've got a bar chart for each of the member communities that we use for purposes of this data analysis. The black line is basically 100%, right, or the national average of cost of living. So nearly everything is above that. Certainly housing is above that. And the reason we thought it was important for the context of this group is that it brings to mind affordability in two aspects. One, your customer and your business model is fare-based, right? So for some of the recurring resident customers, affordability is really important because they live here, they require the Lifeline service, and there's a lot of other competing factors with their income when it comes to groceries or housing and some of the other things that they have to pay for. And the same is true for steamship employees, right? They are living and working here, and affordability is important to their ability to do that. And so I think it's important context to sort of keep in mind as we move forward. All right, so now we'll shift more to the internal side of the organization and start with the heartbeat with the employees, with the workforce. I think the first thing that's important is, the Steamship Authority has a strong economic footprint. They are the 10th largest employer in Barnstable County, behind some of the larger healthcare organizations. So, people are working and living here and committing to the economic success of this region. And then as far as employees go, I do want to explain here kind of how we got to this data, because I know Mark's, he knows this data really well. So I want to he knows, but so the steamship puts out active employee registers annually online on the website. And so we use that information over the past 4 years. To be an active employee basically means you got a paycheck of some sort throughout the year. And so when we looked at total active employees, it was just how many people collected some sort of a paycheck throughout the year. And what you see on the top graph there is that really employment hasn't rebounded from pre-pandemic levels, which is not uncommon. It's certainly what we're seeing in the labor market post-pandemic, and not unique to the steamship at all. And then second, employee tenure. We had heard for a lot of conversations that there are strong institutional knowledge. People have been here for a really long time. So we wanted to look at tenure a little bit. And for here, we sort of did a proxy the whole time. So we took that register and we filtered it down to, you had to have been here at least a year for the year we were looking at. and have earned at least 20,000, just to make sure we're roughly approximating a full-time employee, not perfect, but in the ballpark. And, you know, what you'll see is the overall tenure of employees is fine. Again, not surprising, a lot of retirements, a lot of transitioning in the workforce happening here. And all right, so one thing came through loud and clear, and that's math is really important. But I am, so I appreciate it actually going, learning a little bit about it, but I think this chart is a great representation of how challenging financial planning is to you all and to the organization, right? So you look at a 12-month horizon and you know 6 of them aren't going to make money and 6 of them are, and you hope over those 12 months you land somewhere in the middle as a public entity. That is no easy feat, and certainly requires a lot of technical expertise and is important. And I think the consistency of the financial planning over time has led to that reliability and sustainability that folks feel in the area of this service kind of being ready and available and viable to folks here.
My first meeting was in April of whatever year it was, and I said, what kind of business is there? 4 months of like huge loss, and I'm like, oh my God.
The ship was sinking.
You want to start in July.
The other thing that was really interesting, and we heard this from a lot of you, is you're not typical, right? So what's cool is there's actually public ferry operator data out there from the US Department of Transportation, and it supports that 91%, meaning your revenue model mirrors that of a private ferry service, in that it's almost entirely fare-based. However, you were a public entity. And so as a public entity, if you were to stack it against some other large public ferry operators like Washington State, the state of Maine, North Carolina, or New York City's ferry services, they all have revenue coming in from other sources besides fare. In the case of New York, they don't even use fare, right? It's all subsidized through federal, state, and local sources. So that certainly puts you in kind of a unique arena for the way that the organization is run and operates.
If I may,
I know where
the national census of ferry operators separates out the advertising revenue that we receive, and
That's 2%.
that's the 2%.
That was the 2%.
So.
Okay.
Not 100%.
you're welcome for that too. And it also doesn't know, this is where I thought you were going about capital costs, that
Yes.
we also have to bear. Okay, look at that. All right. I'll shut up.
You're spot on. So, you know, it's challenging enough over a 12-month period to make sure you remain solvent between the peaks and valleys of ridership. And then you lay on top of that a much more multi-year faceted capital intensive organization, which you all are, right? So at the core, you have 10 vessels in the process of replacing 3 of them. You have to maintain them. You have to work through replacement cycles to make sure that you're continuously revolving them through the fleet so that you can meet service demand. But then you have a lot of other assets that you're taking care of, right? You have parking lots, you have shuttle buses, you have 2 big terminals, you have multiple terminals, there's a whole construction terminal going on. So a lot of asset management and infrastructure management happening in the organization. All right, I'm going to pause here before we get into stakeholder input and see if anyone has any questions, if anything struck you, anything surprised you.
Going back to the data about the growth on Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard in terms of population, especially with the vineyard, was that looking at just who's residents in terms of tax paying versus? I'm just trying to differentiate between the seasonal people who no longer are seasonal post-pandemic.
Right.
And it's now they're the primary homes versus secondary.
Right. So I'll take a stab, but I'm not a doctor for skin. I think you're right, it's murky, especially post-pandemic. The source was the US Census Bureau, that's it. Decennial census. It should be, right, if done properly and filled out, it should be resident based.
Right.
That doesn't mean it's perfect, but I think it's fair to say it should be primarily resident.
Right. That's about right.
With your accounting background, as well as your knowledge from this,
What's your sense of why the Vineyard linear is actually a positive slope and the Nantucket is a flat slope?
What do you mean by linear? Sorry. Big word.
This is where you're- the vineyard, that's-
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's easy. Now that I know what you're asking. Because the cars are already in garages. I mean, the Vineyard's getting closer to that, but they'll never be like us because it's cheap to get there, $29 a day. So when I go into someone's garage in Nantucket home now, there's 2 or 3 vehicles, they all have Nantucket license plates and they all have triple shafts. They've already come on the boat, they have 1 trip. The old days of the car going back and forth is really for the rental houses. And, you know, switching out a vehicle or that type of thing, but not that continuous switch, that is not happening,
And we've got a lot of those,
which is good, by the way.
Vineyard has a lot of those Mercedes.
Well, we have, I don't want to get into the different arrangements.
But my question, I think my question was whether it's really tied to rental. Where is rentals flat or are rentals?
You mean vehicle rentals or houses?
Housing.
I can't answer all that. This year, supposedly they're down, but. On another note, people rent their cars. Too. But what is that new thing called? There you go. See, the only guy, no, I don't even, can't even remember it. But I had to say it. So. But the trend, so again, there used to be 700 people walking off the new Eagle 25 years ago. Now there's, that 700 is spread out between fast boats, slow boats, over a whole day. It is not one trip that's taking everybody and dumping them at 11:30. Okay, so if we had vehicles now, like we did 25 years ago on the boats with the number of people that are coming and going, we wouldn't be able to do it. We would have so many boats on the Nantucket route, there wouldn't be a schedule that would work with the crews and the docks. So we have a good thing in the flatness of the vehicles, the freight is taken, replace the cars. And what Lon calls car equivalent units, CUs, whatever, I think, you gotta go to that stuff. So there's something's replaced what's been removed.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of numbers that you would be able to put on that chart. That the other one, the other income, how much money we get from licensing fees, is all out of the bait switch of cars. Moving away from the traditional travel.
I don't know.
How does that, Mark, then how does that fit with the fact that our capacity in the Vineyard run has been pretty flat for 6 years?
So my opinion on this is that on the Nantucket run for the last 10 years or so, we've had 9 boats. And that's roughly 9 trips times 50 cars a trip, 450 capacity, and that's it. And then you're seeing the freight vehicle, 1 freight truck is replacing 4 cars because as more people go or on the island, you need more support services. On the Vineyard, in the summer, you had 28 trips, and that's what it's been. But you had extra capacity that wasn't being utilized on a Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon, where before we were tying up those freight boats, or even like tomorrow, that freight boat, that third freight, the 7th trip of the day was being run, now it's being run. So you have room in your existing system for capacity that the Nantucket one didn't. Thank you. That's my opinion.
All right. We'll transition to the stakeholder input or the qualitative side of the environmental scan. So as mentioned, we talked with quite a few folks to sort of get the context of sort of where the organization is today. So the bubbles here, just reiterate those folks that we talked to, the board and board council members, most of you here, the management team, community members, and employees. And employees were also invited to participate in an online survey of which we received 127 responses. And later today, we'll talk a little bit about the values of the organization. And that arrived at through that process. So from all of the conversations, what we try to do is glean kind of high level concepts to facilitate your discussion later this afternoon around strengths, challenges, opportunities, and aspirations. They're in no particular order and encompass a lot, as you might expect. So starting with strengths, I think resounding strength was financial planning and institutional knowledge. It's a very technical, natured organization and business, and both the book side and the operations side. And there are a lot of folks here that have become kind of experts in their field when it comes to that sort of an organization. I think over time that's helped some of the other items we've heard around the stability and the reliability of operations year in and year out. The other thing we heard from several folks is just the commitment and dedication from your employees, from the folks that are out there every day serving your customers, particularly those that are recurring residents. They see them on a more frequent basis, they get to know them, and that came through as a strand of the organization. Some of the challenges which really kind of lend itself to opportunities going forward. First is that 100% fare-based, revenue model, right? That makes economic stability a challenge at times. There are inputs on the operating side that you can't control, and they come kind of at the helm of a fare change. Similarly, I think particularly talking with the member communities, there's interesting challenges around both your infrastructure for the organization, be it asset management, replacement, capital planning, but then how that infrastructure also integrates across this region and with the islands in a way that is efficient and connects and is making the best use of land and resources in this area. The third is certainly not unique to the steamship by any means. It is reflective of the workforce challenges that we all are familiar with, but it's still very much an important and critical aspect to the operational success, and that's the ability to continue to recruit, retain good quality employees and build the organizational culture that people want to work for and stay with over time. I don't think you're going to be surprised that environmental sustainability came out here, right? And I'll say that it ran the continuum. There are folks on either side around thoughts and visions or how environmental aspects need to come into play with operations. I think what we learned is that part of it's inevitable, right? You're in a service that is impacted by large weather events, impacted by sea level rise. You can't avoid it. So the question is, how do you begin to plan for it, and how do you think about it as you move forward for the organization? And then lastly, communication came through from many of the folks that we talked through. Again, not unique, something we see often, but is an area where is that shift to a more proactive instead of reactive response model, whether it's internally or externally with customers, the surrounding member communities. Communication is a challenge, both an opportunity. All right, so, and I think a couple of you mentioned it today. One of the opportunities I think for the work today is to think about the public communication and engagement efforts. How do you build outreach? How do you build understanding and education? And also, how do you just make the steamship more visible in the communities that it is serving and impacting? Workforce development, same is true, right? It's a transitioning workforce that you all are going through. How do you build in succession planning? How do you make sure that institutional knowledge is transferred? There's professional growth opportunities. There's standardization, there's documentation, there's consistency in the processes that allow for that sustainability, reliability. And then infrastructure and regional planning, again, working with your regional partners in surrounding communities around the highest and best use of the assets that you have, and how do you do it in the most efficient way and move people from point A to point B. And then lastly, I think what we learned is the Steamship Authority is integral to the experience of coming to visit Cape Cod and Islands. And so, an operation that is focused around what is that experience and how do they contribute to a positive experience is certainly an opportunity moving forward. So if we have to sum it up, which is very difficult, I think moving forward, the aspirations are kind of these 4 areas that we heard, but again, variations thereof. But opportunities to partner more with the communities and the regional partners in the area engage more with your community and your customers, become even more resilient to the shifts, whether they be environmental, economic, et cetera. And we make sure you maintain kind of that employer of choice mentality so that you have a strong workforce delivering services.
Add something to this. But I don't know, I think it would be customer experience, but there was another title. The second to last slide that might work, but. This is one of the things that we experience, and both islands have this, they have different complaints. Okay, the people in the vineyard are not like us, they expect certain things. They're not, and we expect certain things on the entire. So I'll call it balancing old fashioned service versus today's lifestyle and expectation. That's a huge issue, okay? Public expectations for seasonal people versus year-round residents. There's a huge, like. Right now, I gave you this thought. For an island for 3 months a year, in the entire group. The 9 months, we're not really an island, but in the winter, it's different. When Bob, myself, and Rob, and Mark go back and forth with our text things and stuff happens, I'll say something like, this was a lifeline day for us. You know what that means? That means the slow boat ran and the fast boat canceled. That's called, we call that a lifeline day. It's when the steamship comes through because we have the slow boat that made it. We got everybody home for the night. They're a little late. They need a shower and the kids' homework's not done, but they got home, right? But then here comes Daffodil weekend. The block comes out, the yellow pants, the cars that are illegal to drive, blue beer more than 1,000 cars. Everything's fine, drinking in public, but then that's just how we are now. And it's hard to balance for this operation to become both. It's really, that's our struggle as board members, as community members, people that are in the know. And Bob, I'm looking at you, we haven't even talked about poor community feelings yet. That's a whole nother animal. We spend a lot of time responding to things that are just noisy. When the simple stuff gets overlooked. And that is, you know, with this, the effort that with you people here, the nuts and bolts stuff, I'm not gonna let one nut and one bolt go out the window. I came here from Nantucket today, I got 1,000 service calls, I'm really busy, and I'm not gonna let this go into the fluff stuff only, it's gotta be both. Because the islands are exactly the same when it comes to reliability. But when it comes to the expectation side is different. Nantucket is, don't get upset when the fast boat cancels. When it's windy, because they want that Eagle to run at 8 o'clock. And that's the truth, and that's how it works. But we're a business disguised as a public transportation entity, and then we're a public and transportation entity disguised as a business. We're both. Because of the fare box, because we can't just say, get another subway train that all looks the same, replaces the one that broke. Doesn't work like that here. There are things that we do so well that nobody knows. And that's something that I don't know. The communication part, like when that Sankey is parked in Hyannis at night, I mean, not at night, in the winter when the fast boat goes offline. That's huge because when something goes down, that boat is there to run in place of another boat that has a problem. We never did that till recently. But there isn't 10 people that realize that, right? That's a Nantucket thing. And it's hard to put stuff like that in a forum like this. So I just want you to understand that there's so many old fashioned sort of modern things kind of plugged together. They know.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't want to comment too much of it, just that. Another way to look at it is Nantucket is what, 20 miles away?
26.
26 miles. Vineyard Haven is 7.
So we just sort of see in Martha's Vineyard is we're part of the subways. Bridge folks. Well, don't say that word. But, you know, it's the expectation in Nantucket is we survive, we need to survive. I think the other thing that I realized that involved with Nantucket, there's more the spirit of this Instagram moment customer that arrives out there. We don't have that as much on the Vineyard is more nuts and bolts, you know, just make sure our area is there. We want to get back and forth. We tend to have higher level of customer complaints on a per capita basis. I don't know what that's a function of, but it's real. And it might be related to more information being shared than in the past. Well, the social media, right, points. Right.
Something happens, you know.
Everybody knows. Truck tipped over, but it didn't really tip over, but it might as well have. Right. But that's almost reasonable. 26 miles versus 7, but the expectation is very big.
But we still want that airport open nights.
Well, that's what Richard, one of the terminal managers said. That in Nantucket, people understand it's a ferry line.
Yeah.
Martha's Vineyard, they think it's a bridge.
Yeah.
But when we have like weather cancellations on the Nantucket run, some things get overlooked is when we run that 10 o'clock boat off island.
Yeah.
Where people will change their plans to leave the day before, where you don't have as much flexibility on this run. So it's a lot different mentality and different planning and changes and stuff.
So go ahead, what stuck out to you all?
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you didn't.
Too many other things have to be brought up. No.
You know, making 3:45 then.
Brought up the lifeline, because I think in a lot of conversations we had, one of the last questions we just wrote, well, what do you want to see, you know, an open-ended thought, and when people were really sort of pressed, lifeline is what we heard more often than not, right? It was leaning into the public entity side maybe a little bit more than in the business side. So an interesting thing. Anything, yeah, please.
What somewhat stuck out to me though is how, I guess, the general scan didn't capture not only the differences between Nantucket and the Vineyard, but the port communities that are servicing the island and the burdens we bear in regards to that. And I would say to some extent too, that as we were talking about, you know, it's the bridge, less than a lifeline, more than a bridge. I do think there's a lot more daily commerce and commuting going on between, you know, Falmouth and the Cape and Martha's Vineyard than there probably is with Nantucket and Hyannis. You know, people from the Vineyard come here to go to school, to go to work, to go to the doctor.
Okay.
So, I mean, in a sense, it really is kind of the subway system, but I do think too, there's parts of this port community and Falmouth that there's this tension that a lot of people don't recognize how much the Vineyard is enmeshed in our own economy and vice versa. Where, you know, when you say we're the 10th largest employer in Barnstable, I think we might be the 4th largest employer in the town of Falmouth at this point. So, hospital and probably Hui. Maybe the school. Yeah, maybe it's tied with MBL. But it's either 3rd or 4th. But I guess that's what stuck out to me is that I didn't see any different. I didn't really see a lot of the port community concerns and challenges other than the idea of the sustainability, environmental sustainability.
I will say the regional transportation connectivity land use, that is something we definitely heard in the communities that part of this process.
Because I know there's a lot of people in Falmouth who commute to the Vineyard to work, vice versa.
Yeah. This, with Peter bringing it up, we could make this meeting go till tomorrow.
Okay.
We don't want to do that,
Okay.
but he is on something. I mentioned Bob, Bob's been on a long time. And knows everything about this copy. And one of the, just a quick overview of what Peter said about the possible versus, you know, their issues over there. Sometimes too much information. You get nervous about talking about something that could open up a can of worms. People in Hyannis, Glassville, if we talked about all the things that go on over there, you get nervous about, well, they're gonna react negatively or positively. I mean, the mall, when the mall got rebuilt in Hyannis, I was happy, you know why? Because now there's more people coming to Hyannis to go shopping, and it's not just gonna be blamed on Nantucket. Like, at that time, like, now it's sort of blended in. All the hotels, the two Marriotts, we are spending all our money over there. Okay, locals, not, the Trader Joe's, has more people walking in that door from Nantucket. Doesn't cost them a penny to get out of business because they're already in, see what I mean? I call that economics, it's a sort of a part of that whole thing. But the vineyard, the Falmouth issues are different than Hyannis, okay? Hyannis is our second home, I don't know if Falmouth is vineyard second home, I actually have no idea how that really works. But when the boat cancels with a bunch of kids, because 3 of the sports teams on it, it's a complete mess, and everybody's in Hyannis. It's just how it ends up. So I don't know how you could incorporate some of the stuff in for the next cycle of meetings. But they're distinctly different, just like the islands, but they're distinctly as important. Okay, so impactful in all different directions, and I think part of the communication stuff. This fits into that, messaging, not getting into, you know, Chamber of Commerce and all that kind of stuff, but more of just simple business stuff. Used to be cab drivers, now it's not, or restaurants, hotels, shopping. So, thank you.
Anything else on the scan? Because this is gonna inform, hopefully, your all's aspirations, the vision, the thing you hope for the future. Any points you wanna? Yes,
I guess I'm curious about which buckets, I mean, you know, we have to, picking up on Peter's point about Falmouth, I mean, there's a lot of noise in Falmouth about the steamship authority. Which buckets does that noise fall into?
so we heard that noise, and it's in that stakeholder input section, you know, and that's when I don't say noise disparaging, like we've heard people talk about the concerns.
Right.
And so I think we'll get more of that too when we do outreach, once you've established your outcome areas, if they have something to respond to. We certainly, you know, we are aware of the differences in how the communities are impacted. We hear about it with regards to transportation and balance.
How about the word perception being added in? Community perception, some kind of way to plug that into this, because that's a big issue.
Well, that's all up to 1 and 2. Is when we get in, I don't know what your methodology is going to be. But usually nobody calls the doctor when they feel well. Nobody shows up to meetings when things are going good. They only show up when they've got something to complain about or talk about or a particular issue. How do you separate that? You've got a lot of people in Falmouth that are really happy to have this operation here. And you've got a very local group of people who are unhappy. And every meeting I've been to, those are the people that show up, and I don't think that's reflective of the community. So what's your methodology for that?
Well, I mean, I think what we would say is, we hope that we do get some input from people who are satisfied or, you know, with the way things are. And it really is gonna be your all's decision how you weigh and weight the different voices that you hear in all of this. The voices of the employees, the voices of the people who live in Falmouth, who rely on the steamship authority for commuting, whichever direction, likewise in Hyannis and Nantucket.
But my follow-up for you is you're gonna issue a report. So the question is, what's your methodology? How do you weigh that? Because that's what people are gonna react to.
So, the reason we issue a report, we're with you all to develop a strategic plan. The environmental scan is what it, the document that we provided you, it is the environmental scan. If there's any caveats or something that we missed in that, we can get some feedback from Bob, through Bob on that. But it is what it is, this is what we've heard. And we won't be doing another report like that. When we get the feedback on the outcome areas, we're not asking people, do you love the steamship authority? Do you hate it? Like, how does it mess up your life? How does it save your life? We're asking them for very specific input on the elements of the strategic plan. So sometimes, frankly, when people come to our community meetings about strategic planning, they want their 3 minutes at the microphone so they can, do like this, and they get a little bit disappointed because it's not their kind of meeting. So we designed the meetings to get the type of feedback we need so that you all can make good decisions.
So that's your methodology.
Those 3 minutes at the microphone.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Just one other thing that, I don't know if I'd say it struck me, but I think it's actually self-evident, but it also transcends everything that I think we're talking about. That's the workforce. To me, from a strategic standpoint, being able to ensure a quality, happy, productive workforce is a huge challenge in this area. And it's only going to get harder. And being one of the other large employers here, I know how hard it is. And I really think, it's about what you pay people. It's about what the benefits are. It's about the workplace, it's about housing. It's about all these things that are some that you can control and some that you can't. But it's a huge strategic, consideration.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think that has to do with, every town, both islands, Fairhaven, everywhere.
Glad you
Quebec.
did that. It is gonna be vital. Are you good with the environmental scan, Ms. Emily? No? All right, so I'm gonna let you go to lunch in a minute. But before you do that, the members of the board and the Port Council have in front of them some sticky notes. There are 3 pink sticky notes and 3 yellow sticky notes. And you should also have a Sharpie. And I'm gonna ask you to use the Sharpie, don't write your name tag down. You'll use the Sharpie because we're gonna take pictures and that way we can actually read what's there. On the pink sticky notes, there's 3 of them for each of you. And Rob is going to text his responses to Mark R. And I'll validate that Mark doesn't write anything Rob doesn't say, but just. On the pink sticky notes, you're gonna write 3 things about the steamship authority that are true today that we can't screw up. It needs to be true 10 years from now. So 3 things on pink, 1 thing per sticky note, okay? 1 idea per sticky note, because I'm gonna organize them all. One thing per sticky note. True today, can't screw it up, it's true today, it still needs to be true in 10 years. And then on the yellow sticky note, same rules, 3 sticky notes, 3 different ideas. What are some things that are not true today, but you hope they will be true 10 years from now? Okay,
So this is just for Board of Port Council.
this is just for Board and Port Council. Sorry, staff does not get to play.
No, I got my flex in.
I warned you yesterday.
Yes.
You need to play all the games. And then, as you finish, you'll just write them down. I'm gonna grab them while you all get your lunch and organize them a little bit. And if you write legibly, I give you extra points. Use the sticky note. It's there for you to use the whole thing. You'll be able to go grab your lunch. And are they gonna eat, bring it back down here to eat, or are they gonna eat in the lunchroom?
Let's do a working split, keep going. Bring the food, eat, and work.
Yeah, so as you get your food, bring it back down. And we'll give you a little bit of time to eat, and then we'll jump right back into work. So eating here. Your sticky notes first. Staff, you go ahead and get one.
We're gonna have to take a break for 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah, I would say it's gonna be, from the time they finish this and get their lunches, it's probably gonna be close to 30 minutes. Okay,
So we'll be back at 12:40, it's fine to say.
12:40 is fine to say, I promise I'm not looking for that.
We have to upstairs, I don't think I've ever gone upstairs.
But can you put that back up, the three things? In 1 second, sorry. I need to-
Thank you.
No, I need to-
Stand not me. Everybody's back from lunch. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and walk through what people wrote on sticky notes, so you'll know what your colleagues are saying. If someone, yes, I'm sorry.
We just look at it now.
Yes, we're gonna make an announcement regarding public comments. We're not taking any public comment during this workshop. There is a spot at the end of the meeting where we will allow the public to.
Thank you.
And it's easy.
We don't, we'll have a public comment period.
We'll have a public comment.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me go to the board here and see what we've got. I tried to group them a little bit by things that sounded like they were similar to me. You all will ultimately decide how things fit together and how they don't. But for now, starting. So there's a bunch of sticky notes about your finances on the pink side, so the things that are true today. Your financial solvent, good financial planning, financial stability, cost management to operate in a highly seasonable revenue business, maintain solid data and financial information, keep that budget in the black, maintain our financial stability. So that's this bucket here about finances. Ethical, you're an ethical organization, want to stay that way. I think Terry put someone to.
Karen prompted me to say something about.
Board of Governors, so just kind of a nod that we need an effective Board of Governors still. Your relationships with the ports. And your relationship with the Highline must remain strong for an year of needs. Solid management, safe operations, focus on safety, have that committed workforce. I'm gonna need help with this one, so I apologize. Better reliability, something with something average to you.
No,
No?
don't read it.
Okay, good. You're a pharmacist? Yeah, I think it's more okay. It's not his. I don't think it's his. Look like anybody's handwriting, black or blue ink.
This is a safe place.
It's a safe place.
That looks like.
Jim, could you read that for me? I'm sorry.
You fine point marker. Better reliability than the industry average.
Okay, so kind of just noting that the reliability of this service is so much better than the industry average, and you want to keep that true in the future. This whole bucket, I'm gonna put it here. This whole bucket is about reliability. We provide essential service, operational reliability, reliable. We have to keep our physical plants and our ships up to date. Reliability, lifeline, We are always there for the islands, and the islands are in control of their own destiny. We must keep the slow boat schedule timing as it is now for multiple reasons, which now is planning on contributing to. And we must keep a personal level of sacrifice.
No,
No,
service. I
service,
think I said
sacrifice,
service.
you're right. Personal level of service for year-round residents and seniors and students.
Yeah, it's hard for me to explain like a little 5-minute thing, but I think I can probably do a better job after.
That's what I
Talk about it. That fits into my, yeah, that's right.
In the right place,
Yeah.
travel like.
Yeah, yeah.
On this side, we've got automated business processes. Better advertising. No. Yeah, better advertising to acquire and keep employees in our current market. Succession planning, employee morale, so this is kind of an employee bucket. Flexibility from communication to employees to solving common sense issues. We need to continue to upgrade our vessels. We need to address the income disparity of our customers. We need alternative Martha's Vineyard freight route. I think this says vessel comment. Better, or maybe it's a better communication. I bet that's common. Yeah.
On my last.
Better communication. We want, I love this, we want to be admired by the community. Address mainland port concerns, respected by all port communities. More of a partner with Cape and the island communities. Then I do have a bunch here about communication. Better communication with the public, more positive communication with the port communities that extol the need for our services. Proactive communication about our operations and issues. Better communication to our clients about operational issues. Something with their travel that impact their travel. Better communication to our clients about operational issues that impact their travel.
I was unprepared.
I know that this whole bucket is kind of about the fleet, but there's kind of a tension here. Electrification, environmental friendly ferries, carbon neutral buildings, industry leader in sustainability, electrification of our ships, reduce our carbon footprint, so that, you know, kind of let's be more sustainable as an organization. And the one here just kind of notes we need to maintain our current until alternative fuel options are more available.
I didn't write that, but I should
Is that what? Also? No, I was gonna say questions, so maybe you try to-
Maintain current with alternative fuel options that are economically appropriate.
Okay, gotcha. So again, talking about the vessels in that regard. Okay. And this one just says continue to upgrade the vessels. All right. I've read them all. Automated business processes is a little bit of an outlier, but it's something about your operations. Specifics about an alternative route for freight there. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to start grouping some of these things together now, blending pink and yellow, to create some buckets. So I'm gonna put this address the income disparity piece in this financial bucket, just because it certainly links to finances. Does that make sense to you all? So safety and reliability and your fleet seem to kind of all grow together. That, do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Go together, and maybe that this one specific is not. It's in there also. Does that make sense? Workforce commitment, you have it now, you want to make sure it's there. Got solid management, good effective governance. Ethical. Oh, wait, I don't think I read these, did I?
Fine, because I wasn't in my game in this one, in the yellow.
Hope for a terminal that accommodates all aspects of year-round needs for the next century, so I'm gonna put that here. So you have a new terminal for the
Century. Let's not saying century. You guys think we're gonna have 10 feet sea level, I'm not talking about the century. We'll see who wins.
A new terminal to accommodate barge offloading year-round for necessary products. Better ability to book more island cars on trips that they want in the off-season.
Okay.
This is all about the operations. So when I looked at this, I kind of started saying, okay, here are some buckets. There's one bucket that says we need to make sure we're investing in our employees. I could probably link communications and this admired by the community, better relationships with the communities in a bucket that says engaged with our communities. This large grouping of items enhance, maintain, and green our infrastructure and assets. It's a
Say that
big
again?
enhance, maintain, and green our infrastructure and assets.
Like green,
Green, I mean sustainability. So whether it's alternative fuels, reducing carbon footprint, that type of piece. The other, this is where maybe these are really, this goes here. This stays here, it's about your assets. And this bucket about reliability is just provide safe, reliable service. The last area that I have a sticky for is financial sustainability. And this is where I get to use one of my facilitator jokes. So there's really only two kinds of people in the world, lumpers and splitters. Some people might lump the finances with the operations and say provide safe, reliable, and affordable service. And others might say, you know what, the financial piece is so important, it needs to be its own bucket. What do y'all think?
I agree with that.
You're a splitter.
Yeah, I think it needs to be its own bucket so that you can think beyond the fare box.
yeah.
Oh, I like that. Think beyond the
And to add to that, Julia, been brought up, it's the same thing, alternative funding sources, we've been talking about for like a while. And I can't believe I didn't write that on the yellow. But alternative funding sources with specific.
Okay.
That sort of create that 100% to go down a little in a different way.
Yeah. So what do you think about these buckets? Invest in our employees, engage with our communities, enhance, maintain, and green our infrastructure and assets, provide safe, reliable service, and financial sustainability. And we'll start that, but we'll find one. Does that ensure? Thank you. Does that make sense for you all?
Yes.
Let me ask you about some outliers. Sure. Would you put ethical down here with safe, reliable service? Is that kind of part of your operations that are ethical? No?
No.
Okay, what about the automated business processes.
Finance.
Finance.
Is it finance or is it more than that? Are we missing like a customer service bucket?
Well, it's really shared between the operations and the finance, the automated systems.
Mhm.
I mean, it's really system wide, because there's so much, you know,
But you're also talking about it being the employees, investing in the employees, and that's. Making sure that we're treating them well.
What if we made that box even bigger instead of saying invest in our employees? What if we say we know we need to do that as part of it, as part of the definition, but perhaps we could say something about. Excellent, achieve, attain, whatever, excellence in service delivery. That fell flat. I'm trying, so I like your ethical. That's fine. This one is sticking out to me that I don't have a good home for it. And it just, again, what I don't want to have is, I don't want to miss something.
I mean, you could make an argument, I'm gonna be longer now, that by automating our business processes and our practices, we are investing in our employees by making it easier for them and more efficient for them to do their jobs,
Also the customer.
which in turn then makes everything, yes, which
So I wrote that.
Okay. What do
What I was
you,
driving at is that here in my view, a lot of the technology that we can utilize will help automate. So it's not just straight up bots.
yeah,
It's not going to magically improve things. We need to take a second look at how do we do things and how do we have technology to leverage this.
okay,
So I don't know where you come up with that, but that was my,
okay,
for instance, automating the ticket process. Or, you know, the customer trying to buy, you know, optimum service on a boat. They can see availability, so we need something work that backroom office had to do. So really more on the tools in the customer hands.
maybe that's part of your service delivery then, safe, reliable service. There's, it's about, you know, doing what you do and what it should be, doing that, build that into that. Like that.
Can I add something to John for a second? It's kind of obvious, we're not ready to say it. Vehicle efficiency versus people efficiency, are completely different. Like airlines, I mean, you're sitting in a terminal, plane's delayed, you keep getting these messages, ding, ding, ding. Like they know more than you're sitting at the terminal and they know more than you. And you're already there. Like it's amazing. A person in a seat is not like a car on the deck. Okay, so it's two different problems, or I should say solutions or betterments. It's never gonna be perfect to get the vehicles on the boat to fit exactly right. Boats are not booked like a plane. I said that to people, it's not a hip. Okay, but we can make it better. There's always ways to make a vehicle experience better. And it's never gonna be, it's like housing, it's never gonna be fixed, but it can get better. And I think, but we have to separate the people part versus the vehicle part. And somehow not get, when we say efficiency, well, vehicle efficiency is that different. So that's why I still say you need standby, you say, whatever. Sure. I'm just saying.
I agree with
Be
you.
a standby or even be, I wouldn't be, I'd be fired. Because you never get on the boat. And there'd be space all the time. See what I mean? Yeah. So it's hard to do. The fast boat is the walk-on airplane. Okay, not a reservation. Because of the time. We don't have. You have people going, and short as there's only 40 minutes, like a completely different system. So, leave that one. So.
So is having that here, does this make sense then? What about Board of Governors? I'm not sure what about the Board of Governors, and it's how you are run.
I think the president wrote that wants it to stay. I would assume. Right? No.
But that was an essential,
Right, and.
Yeah.
so that's right.
Baseline.
Yeah.
So let me, you have up on the screens, the potential 5 areas. You have to, so again, to be successful in the future, Steamship Authority needs to provide a safe, reliable service. It needs to ensure financial sustainability. It needs to invest in our employees, enhance, maintain, and green our infrastructure and assets, and engage with our communities. Yes,
the word customer isn't there.
yeah,
Traveling public,
It's not there. Community is all that other.
yeah, that's,
so we could say communities and customers, or is it its own bucket? Peter?
I actually like the idea that it doesn't just say customers. We are a quasi-public agency. We are considered the lifeline to the islands, first and foremost, not necessarily a transportation. And this then puts the equal emphasis that we place as much emphasis and concern about our port communities as our passengers.
I can see that, the only thing is 70 or 80% of our revenue comes from people that don't take advantage of it. 9 months out of the year. So we're really, that customer base of that June, July, August is huge.
Well, they provide, they basically pay for the life.
And they're not really a community.
But to sound like a year rounder,
Yeah.
be it on the Cape or the islands, they should take privilege, right? I mean,
They do on their real estate.
yeah.
So
Yeah, the other thing this is kind of that awkward moment where I know what's coming and you all don't. And I don't want to jump too far ahead. But why don't we do this? Let's hold for now on these as outcome areas. And I wanna do 2 more steps before we decide if we need to add customer service. So customer is missing. That's something I'm gonna make a note for myself right now. Is there anything else missing before I push on?
I'm not sure if it is a strategic idea, but ethical was one of mine.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like that there's something about our whole value system that is really important, that we have one now, and we want to retain that, we want to build on it. I don't know if that's a strategic goal, but you know, it's so important. So I just think that might be something that
Okay.
could be an item there.
I didn't tell him to say that. I was back in Spiel yesterday.
So, yeah, so I think what I want to do is pause on this, and I'm gonna go a little bit out of order, and I'm gonna put Bob on the spot.
yeah.
So, Bob Davis, the boss, on the spot. Yesterday, we worked with the senior staff to articulate organizational values. And so you talk, Rob, about a value system, and you talk about ethical, even customer service. There's a story that I hope Bob's going to tell you about the process that we used to come up with the values. And we have the graphic over here that I can unveil for you if you would be comfortable telling that story. Maybe a drum roll. I don't know which one.
On paper, on paper. Behind the curve. That's what we've done. Three-dimensional.
You want to tell us the story?
All right, so, as part of our meeting yesterday, we went through the value survey results and, there was 127 employees that, submitted, at least, partial responses or full responses to the survey that had been put out there for a couple week period. And then from that, we try to narrow that down to just a few items. And we end up coming up with, this pointed out here, customer service, for instance, and it's a, it's a core element of us as a service provider to be, providing customer service. And, part of that is, the respect and compassion and commitment to our customers. And that involves being attentive and responsive to their needs. Having a little different order there, so stewardship, I don't know, stewardship, we have a responsibility to be paving the way for the next generation. And, obligation to protect the environment, and it's a responsibility that we all take seriously. Then we talk about safety, which actually, as Julia and her team pointed out, was actually not one of the values that had been identified, but it was something that the staff felt strongly about in terms of including that as one of our core values. And for instance, to support our SQMS project and efforts, and through the developing that mindset that not only to be reporting incidents, but also to be reporting areas for improvement. I think everyone agrees that safety is paramount. Then we talk about teamwork, and it's a culture. We need to be. You talk about succession planning. You talk about the graph that they showed earlier today on the tenure, the average tenure of our employees, and look at some of the rosters and see what's coming up here. And this is all things we need to recognize the employees and show them that they're appreciated, motivate them, trust them, and provide them with respect. And then we get continuous improvements, and I think that falls for everything. Whether it's customer service, to be seeking feedback, offers have the team, employees be able to provide feedback and suggestions. It includes the decision making on what's the best decision. What the best decision a year ago may not be the best decision today. And so let's make sure that we're constantly striving to improve. And that last one kind of applies to all the these categories, customer service and stewardship and the like. So
the group had a conversation, not an extended one, but around like, what would it be like if everyone was living these values all the time? And somebody said it would be a joy to come to work every day, that the culture would be really attractive. And so, some of the comments around the graphic over there that Julie created, I think just kind of reinforce the idea that while these are the values that the employees observed in their colleagues when they're at their best, it's also the things they want to, ensure the commitment to and kind of emphasize, both for long-term employees and when people are really hired on. These are what our expectations are, is what it's like to work here. So we pick up the concept of customer service in the values. You think about the framework of always, being together. And then even, Rob, your comment about ethical, it might, kind of being values-based, might address that. I don't want to dismiss it if it's not. Does it seem to capture what you're looking for?
Yeah, I guess I would have thought maybe it was in another star, only because of how important it is from a reputation standpoint, I think they're embodied in that, but
You would
overt
argue
statement.
ethical to be another value.
Yeah, or some term that embodies that idea. I guess I think about, of all the things that people complain about, ethical position is not one of them. And that is really valuable. And You know, there's other authorities that have problems. I think this one's had them in the ancient past. You know, it's really valuable that we have this framework from which to work. It's a good high bar.
Jim,
Help me understand what you mean by effort. That's a big word to get lost.
I'm trying to pick the best word that embodies this whole notion, but the idea that, you know, that we operate honorably within the legal, within what's moral, you know,
with integrity,
the
maybe?
integrity, that's a good word to use, you know, transparency, all the things that come, that you would hope to have in a really well-run organization.
It's straightforward.
Yeah, yeah.
As opposed to community aware or listening to
Yeah, no, this is more fundamental. My thinking is more fundamental.
genuinely.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Does anyone think that that's lacking?
No, and I think I heard him say it's not lacking. It's one of the complaints you don't get.
Right.
And even with all of these values, for all of this work, I don't want anyone to get the idea that, sorry, Rob, we're fixing all the problems by saying these words now. Because to a large degree, these are the things that have been and are important to your survival. These are the behaviors, when we look at the values, that your workforce have said they observe in their colleagues when they're at their best. And so it's not coming from a deficit position. Mark R.
And one of the things we talked about yesterday, because we debated this in confidence, we said as a baseline for the expectation of employee, you have to be ethical and you have to be competent to be here. That's the bar, that's the floor. You have to have that to be an employee here. And that's our view, is that why it wasn't a standout, is that that's a minimum requirement. And all right, so
And I put that in the 10 years in the future part, because it's something that exists now and we want it to exist 10 years from now. That's how important it is to protect.
It's not in every organization,
Right.
so we can't take it for granted.
That's my point.
Well, we probably all have had that experience with.
Somewhere along the way.
They go, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah.
I don't feel that way. Not with anybody here.
Well, everybody in this room takes the conflict of interest review every 3 years. Everybody's considered a special state employee. Everybody's a state employee, so I think people don't. Not necessarily sure that every one of our stakeholders actually understands that it's actually requirements for us to keep these jobs and fulfill these jobs. And one of the most important things is conflict of interest law, open meeting law, public records law, all those things we have to adhere to. So that's all part of this ethical approach to our jobs.
Yes, sir.
I think I did on now. Better than the sticky notes. Back when we had a problem with it in the late 90s. I did all that, but let's just say, and there was a movement to change this game, and they did make some changes. Okay, with the board council versus the finance advisory board and so forth. The board committee, they hated it. I went on a bus trip to Boston, State House, spoke at the State House. I was in my 30s. And the biggest thing that this organization, John, if you think of it, this comment about that, is that you can pick up the telephone and call Bob Davis on Sunday. Like, do you know how many things I get fixed because of her and him? Just being able to pick up the phone and say, we got a problem with this guy's wife, father, this guy, they gotta get on board. And she gets out her laptop. And he makes a phone call to somebody else and it's fixed. Like, do you think you could do that with Massport?
Yeah.
I
So
don't have
that-
to really, you don't have to think too far. That's the stuff that makes. Like wheelchair stuff. Funeral, and we had a funeral home, we don't have medical stuff, right? I got a call from Albert Kowaki's son, said my father needs to come home to die. Okay, that's the first time I ever got a phone call like that. And now it's all the time, these ambulances that aren't ambulances, the transportation thing, I know you guys do that. In Nantucket, that's somewhat new on our route. When you can tell a person that you see and stop and shop, that their father or mother can get on the boat, they'll never forget that. So the difference between the traveling public, I don't like saying customer, okay? And the local resident, that's why the stuff I wrote on there is sort of kind of hard to put on a little tiny piece of paper. But it's stuff that happens that you don't know is gonna happen until somebody calls.
That's that personal level.
The personal level service is going up cycles, and that stuff is bigger than any issue that you can think of when you can do that. And it makes us the island versus the mainland versus summer. We're not making any money in January, but we got this person's ambulance home. Like, it doesn't matter that we're not making money in January. You know what I mean? My biggest thing with Nantucket and our attitude to all these fights we have going on right now is the negativity about Nantucket globally. Like, I worry about that. Like Mark taught me a long time ago, Nantucket's a competition with other places. We need people to come. We need July to be in the black and, you know, and so forth. So doing what we do best all the time is only a component of the island's economy that sometimes is on autopilot a little bit. So coming off autopilot is important to know how things really work. So that's my.
Any response to the conversation?
So we did have territory with the ethics, but that has been, we felt that, yes, it's a very important element, and that's at least we demand, we expect and demand that level, and, you know, everything that we're doing, we try to be as transparent as we can, whether it's with our financials and everything else. And so, you know, if we don't have that to be able to stand on to say that, you know, this is, we're doing this in accordance the way it should, you know, whether it's, you know, accounting rules or whatever, then we don't have a leg to stand on. So it is important, and we all recognize that. That's part of what we need to be doing, you know, continue to do. But it's difficult to try to narrow these down to, I think actually the task was to narrow it down to 4 and we got it up to 5, right?
I actually said there is no set number. You just need to be able to implement it. So,
And Bob, to your credit, at the board meetings, unfortunately, you report bad news. It's not easy to do, it's not fun to do, but you're always there letting the board and the port council, the public know what's happening, good or bad.
And I think that some of what Rob Munier noted was kind of fell under our discussion of stewardship of the company, stewardship of its principles and its reputation and its processes. So I think that ethics isn't up there, but I think a lot of what we were talking about fell under that bucket in our discussion.
People may disagree with our position, but they don't question where the numbers of the baseline came from, the integrity of the data or information.
what we might do, so again, this work, the values work, we're also gonna solicit feedback from employees on it, and say, okay, this is what we did with the information. We don't take it necessarily to the public until it's final, because it's important that it really comes from the organization and the employees feel connected to it. What we might do is test 2 things that I'm hearing today. One is, should integrity be an additional value? Like, do you see it as part of stewardship? Should it be called out? Like, we can just ask that question and get their feedback. The other one, and I hear this in Nat's comment, I want to test it with you all, and we can decide if you want to test it with the employees. And what I think you're saying is, you don't like the word customer, because not every, it implies a certain otherness as opposed to the lifeline. And maybe it's just service. It's just about being committed to service. Customers are.
Like I always say, I'm not a customer. Like, even if you pay a toll, You pay a road tax, you're a customer of a road, like, I look at us as the gap filler, you know, we're just, and that's why I don't want it to stay this way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just,
So just conceptually testing that with you all, what, based on what Nat said, what do you all think? What feedback do you have? Is stating service as a value more powerful than stating customer service as a value?
You should go out. Very, very, yeah. Is that a customer or is that just a value thing? It's a user. It's somebody who's on staff. All of my public comments that are engaging. And remarks made of management in this room. Those are customers. And those are year-round customers.
Yeah.
So I'll go with whatever you think.
I think, just, John, yeah, we need to just clarify one thing with her on this. Not customer service is a term. Versus, when I say customer versus traveling public or user, I did not say.
Okay.
Customer service is more like just, you know, treat people right. Just friendliness, right? Know what you're doing when you walk up to the window, it's always like, but as far as
This service that you're talking about.
the word customer to me is a capitalist businessy term versus yes, we money, absolutely, but the customer is more important. The person, excuse me, I'm saying, the person standing in front of you that might only be spending $50 versus somebody else is spending $1,000 is just as important. That's how I see it.
Then I think we can take that back, and I'm leaving it as customer service is right.
That's
You're
right.
sitting on this broad
The word.
concept of service that we will want to make sure is captured in how we define success in the provide safe, reliable service. Okay. So the one thing we might add is ask the employees about, you know, is this a missing word, and what's your take on it? We'll get that feedback. And integrity.
I think that's good.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. What I want to do, are you ready for the thing I do? I just need to use that. Okay, yeah, go ahead, stop sharing, restart PowerPoint. So as I said before, the framework is going to include the values that we've just had, the outcome areas that we're still working on, your strategic, you know, what are your outcome areas? Right now, we're focusing on these 5, but we're gonna come back and revisit them. It has the mission statement that we're not changing. And it's gonna have a vision statement. And so we prepared in advance, some kind of straw man vision statements for you to consider. They are thing is a receiver. They are provided here with like 0 pride of authorship. Bob hasn't seen him, so it's probably making him nervous that I haven't showed this. Is just, it is, yeah, and we can start from blank paper, but what I want to get a sense of from you all today as we start this work of working in small groups to articulate these various elements, and what track are we on in terms of vision statement. So when Janae is ready, we're going to show you the vision statements and let you chew on them a little bit. What words do you like? What concepts do you like? What don't you like? And then we're going to ask you individually to pick one. If you think we have a starting point to go with. So I'm going to give, don't play with these quite yet. I'm going to give clickers to the council members. Board, sorry, not the staff. I'm giving you Rob's. Huh? Yeah, I'm coming around. There's a, that looks interesting.
That's what you don't want.
I threw it to staff.
John.
Thank you.
We're fine.
Yeah.
All the biggest one, that's a-
All right. Yeah. And actually. You guys have been so.
Not world close.
Okay, so there's three vision statements. So we're not asking you to pick anything yet, so keep the clickers down. But if you go to page 5 of your briefing book and they're on the screen, you can see them all. I know, I'm gonna give you all of those charts. So I'm gonna ask different people to read these statements so that it's your all's voice, not mine. Who wants to read one? The first one. John, thank you.
You got the best voice. Safety authority is a vital part of the community served and operated. We are a safe, reliable, and sustainable service provider that is the lifeline for the islands and the destination gateway for our customers' identity.
Okay, that's one. Who would like to read 2?
So that's actually number 2 up there.
Excellent. Good, we have a different order. That's what happens. And that is, by the way, I think my fault. We can move those, that's no problem. Who wants to read the second one from the middle?
You're looking for the court counsel?
You can read one.
Good, I'll take the long one.
Yeah, good.
The Steamship Authority is a safe, reliable service provider that works in partnership with member communities to provide lifeline services for the islands. At the Steamship Authority, we are more than just a transportation company. We are a vital part of the community, and we are committed to serving our passengers with the highest level of safety, reliability, and compassion.
Okay. And for the last one, Peter, could you read the last one?
Sure. The Steamship Authority is a trusted community partner that provides lifeline services for the islands and serves as the destination gateway for the island experience.
Okay. What are some concepts in any of these statements that kind of are resonating with you, that you like? If any. It allows fine.
No, they all have, I like the second.
And we'll let you pick one, and if there's any key concepts that just to not kind of name them that are speaking to you, let's just hear what those are. Yeah,
Question. This is not a mission statement.
no, the mission statement exists and is not changing.
Correct.
Yes,
And so how is this different from mission statement?
excellent question. So the vision statement is aspirational. It's written in the present tense. It's the future you're walking into. It's what you want to be true in the future. The mission statement is what you're in the business of doing, you know, why people do it. So kind of what your employees call to service is, this is why I get up and come to work every day. That's the mission statement. And we can read that also because it is handling on the agenda.
You want, Julia, you want me to-
Yes.
I've got it. You want me
Would
to?
you read the mission statement?
Sure.
We don't have memory.
I should, because I wrote it, but I got it. Our mission is to operate a safe, efficient, and reliable transportation system for the islands of Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket with a commitment to sustainability, accessibility, our port communities, and public engagement.
Okay. That's the existing mission statement.
Can we all the words?
Yeah, we are, this is. 10%. What I want to get to perhaps is a starting point for the small group that works on the vision statement. So that's why I'm just asking you what concepts are resonating with you and that you like, so that group has some data to work with. Yes, Peter.
I'm having a hard time seeing how our vision statement of where we want to be is different from our mission statement.
They're too redundant right now, okay.
It seems that our vision is to just be what we think we are today, tomorrow. We're talking about sustainability, I just don't hear anything different of our aspiration.
Okay. Fair. Other observations?
The what Peter was saying, except if you look at number 2, I think it gives it a little bit of a lift, lift off the mission statement,
Okay.
so it goes in a little more detail. Without wanting to give more. Fundamentally, I agree with Peter said.
But so it would be important to you all that whoever works on the vision statement would look at it in tandem with the mission and try not to be too redundant. Try to be distinctive and clearly aspirational.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good feedback.
We can, if each one of these can get improved,
Of
the
course.
middle one can get shortened, but I still think the middle one. Fix the first one, right?
Yeah, okay.
Last time. But if you take and remove, we have a vital part of the community, we already mentioned.
Yeah.
A partnership and member, get rid of that and just leave it without those words, and it actually flows pretty well. And the first one, eliminate destination for our customers' island experience and insert for our travelers, to and from the islands, because you gotta remember, it's both islands. You have to have plural in these comments, and sometimes things get, like I tell Aunt Allison, you gotta press the Bindi button, or you got the Bindi button pressed, that's the Nantucket button. Anybody new that comes to work at the steamship has to, like, oops, well, I'm on the wrong island, this is completely different. No, I don't, you gotta figure out that. So, but that's the key, Julia, is if we're gonna try to, Peter's bringing up, I'll just say it for him, but we have to have it. Is this like a needed thing, or is it just an additional, like, is this sort of a modern-y thing that we don't know what to thinking about, or what?
It's a modern thing. Jim, did you want to say something?
I can't follow that. This may be wordsmithing, but destination gateway, I don't like the word destination,
Okay.
because
Yeah, just gateway. Good
Gotcha,
point,
take that
see?
designation. Okay. So let me speak to whether or not you need divisions. The vision statement should articulate, to speak to the public, and it should articulate what you want to be known for. Your reputation. Okay? The mission statement speaks to your workforce. It's their charge. This is what you are here to do. The vision is what you want to be. So that's the distinction. I do think it's a useful part of the modern.
Then why, I see these vision statements then lacking a reflection of our values
Okay,
in terms of being aspirational. And we've been looking at kind of the values and then our groupings, what we want to share in the future. Our vision should be more of being a leader in sustainable transportation. A steward to our islands and port community. That, to me, that's more of a vision. Where we're just kind of like I said already, I just see us restating our mission.
so we're gonna,
Great.
pardon
Yeah,
me? You agree?
that was me
Yeah.
mumbling.
So we're going to, I'm not gonna have to. I'm just gonna leave these as starting points for the group that works on vision, as well as the comments that we have made. So knowing you're gonna have a vision and it's gonna be aspirational and it's gonna have some of those concepts in it, knowing now what your values are, the direction the values are going. Do these 5 areas seem to be about right? Ensure financial sustainability, provide safe and reliable service, invest in our employees, and engage with our communities. Anything missing that you want to add as about, yes, Jim?
Okay, so now we're talking vision, what we want to be. Yes, no,
So these are the things that must go well to be successful in the future, yes. It's a little bit of both. It's living out the mission, it's how you get to the vision.
All right. Well, I wrote a sentence in advance of today,
Oh,
knowing that we were going to be doing this exercise.
Okay,
Just, I want to throw it out there, because I think it's certainly for a large group of people on Martha's Vineyard who are concerned with, hold on to your hat now, with the impact of changes in our climate and environment. The sentence I wrote says, the SSA shall work with and remain current with all federal and commonwealth legislation in relation to alternative fuel, and will work with utilities and towns or communities to implement actions necessary to provide a compliant and economically viable service.
okay.
So that to me is an aspiration
Yeah,
that, but not a, to me, it's an aspiration.
that to me is an example of kind of what comes downstream here. That when you, that is a to-do, that is something that you will, develop a work plan around, right? And pieces of that could very well fit in the, enhance, maintain, and green our infrastructure and assets. Pieces of that might live in that definition of success. And then the be compliant piece is the to-do. Does that make sense? Yes, sir.
I would just add, as we, particularly in the area of the employee, being responsive to them. I think diversity and inclusion is a thing that should be integrated. I hope our workforce is a little more diverse than the group that's sitting around the table here. We're all white, older guys. I think we, with one exception. So I just think, putting that as something that we should be aspirational for.
Whatever group works on invested employees might want to keep that in mind. So what I want to do is I want to break you all into groups. You haven't been in groups yet.
Oh.
It's pretty objective.
So I have 4 really neat groups predetermined, but I've got 6 things to work on. So
Forget that.
2 groups, I go. Yeah.
2 groups can be overachievers, okay, so. All right, group 1. Just make a note for yourself who you're in, which group you're in. Rob, virtual Rob, is in group 1, and Mark R is in-person proxy. I wrote down Janice.
She's unavailable, so Mark, you said one over.
So another Mark R.
Okay, mark our square.
2 Robs and 2 Marks.
So yet another Mark R will be in that group. Okay, great. 2 Robs, 2 Marks. Keep going. So that's group 1. Group 2. Bob Jones. Bob Davis. Paul. John and Joe. So this side of my table is group 2. Just remember that. You're going to stay in this room, just so you know. Group 3. Jim, Bud, Sean, Mark H, and not Mark R. That changes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And group 4, guess who? Peter, Terrence, Allison, and Nat. Okay. Who's been on either board the longest? God was, okay, and section 2. All right. All right, who's between the 2 of you, who's longer serving?
Between the court council and the longer serving.
Okay, all right. So Bob, which of these outcome areas do you want to tackle? Ensure financial sustainability, provide safe, reliable service, enhance, maintain, and green our infrastructure and assets, invest in our employees, or engage with our communities.
Well, then we have the financial person here initially. I would say we'll tackle.
You're gonna tackle finance first? Okay. Now, which one do you want to tackle?
I mean, I don't mind the infrastructure stuff. You know, there's a lot of,
That is service where all your stuff is.
all right, fine,
Provide safe, reliable service, okay.
I mean, yeah. What to say?
In group, between group 3 and group 1, who's our longer serving folks?
Wrong, Randy.
All right, Rob, which one do you want to work on?
Best in our employees.
Invest in our employees, excellent. That leaves for you all, you want to tackle. Is maintain and green our infrastructure and assets or engage with our communities?
Yeah.
Or both of them?
We'll go engage with her.
I would ask you that.
He indicated to me that's what he wanted.
Okay, engage with communities, okay.
I think the group with most people should have two.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you can only take longer. It's fine.
All that tenure.
I know, so we can do this one of two ways. I can either assign the vision and the other area to another group, or we can see whoever finishes first, and whoever work is more work.
Wow, we get it done.
I would assign them.
Signed out, okay, so what I have left is the assets and infrastructure, and I have the vision statement. Which group wants to work on the vision statement? Probably not now.
Got two attorneys.
Trying to say,
You know what? I say we should work on
Okay,
it. I have a problem.
you had to figure out what
All right,
you
well,
wanted, and make it more sensible.
all right,
We'll take the,
and you're.
we'll take
To access. Okay, fantastic. So, do you have?
How much time we're
And this going to the third floor.
Okay.
That's something. It's one of the traditions. At least how I would.
But let me tell you what we're gonna do. Workbook, and we have slides too. Do the slides. We've got. What I'm gonna send you off in your room to do. Is, yeah, we go to separate rooms. We're gonna develop outcome statements for each of these areas. So what am I talking about? So essentially, you're gonna describe success for the area that you're working on. You're gonna be given all of the sticky notes as kind of inputs, things to reflect on. And I have a couple of examples in the workbook for you, just to what she's supposed to do again. So you're gonna describe success. So I pulled these from a couple of other organizations that do something similar to what you all do. So one is about organizational strength and capacity, We're an employer of choice. We prioritize communication with our employees and work tirelessly to attract and retain the workforce. And then user and beneficiary notices and customer satisfaction. The organization's customers and stakeholders enjoy reliable and safe service that seamlessly integrates with the region's community network. So again, the idea is that you, in a sentence or two, describe success for this outcome area. Think of it as putting north on a compass, that, you know, we're going to be looking now for how are we doing these things in the organization? How does this initiative support the outcomes that the board and board council are asking for in the strategic plan? So that's your task. Likewise, with the vision statement, you're going to write the aspirational statement. And you have a starting point, or you can start from scratch. Do you have questions about what I'm asking you to do? All right, group one is going to go to the accounting room on the third. Group 4 is going to go to the first floor conference room. Okay, down the hall. Groups 2 and 3 are going to stay in here, and you can kind of move around so you have a little bit of space and quiet to work within. I'm going to ask a staff person to be responsible for capturing what your outcome statement is and delivering it back to us. You can either try to email it to Janae, or if you write it on paper, that's fine too. We'll get it from you to type
I
it.
guess I'll do that.
So you're gonna go and do this and report out. So the full meeting is technically going to be in recess while you're working on it. And we cannot come back before we say, is that right? Do I have to pick a time?
I mean, be conservative.
Okay.
We
Be
can always-
conservative, meaning they can wait. If you have to ask.
Can you come back later?
Right. All right, I'm gonna say 2:30.
Thank you.
And you can also adjust your fluid level, so whatever break you need, do that now, and get to work. And at 2:30, I'll be checking in with you. If I need more time, we'll be in communication. Whoever goes upstairs, group 1, group, or down the hall, would you, Allison, do you mind just, I'm gonna just text me so we can be in touch, or I'll come. Can I get down the hall and find you? Yeah, okay, we'll come find you.
Yeah.
You just tell me.
Yeah, we'll be in the far right corner,
Far right.
going away from this room.
Oh my God, what we go? Terrence, Phil, from Terrence, here.
Oh.
They didn't get it.
You get it. Yeah, and I'll just,
Right? No, I got
right down there.
Sean and Johnson. Yeah.
Did you get one from,
I did get this, but anyone who has a steam,
still doing it?
So what should I do? Send it to John? You're a good man, Mike. It's on $25, so if I have to go buy them.
Right.
You can all wear them now, take town council meetings.
So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through each outcome statement. And then we're gonna read the vision statement. And on this first round through, you're just gonna listen. We're not gonna wordsmith or comment. If you wanted to make some notes, you have multiple spaces for different outcome areas. You write notes. When Nate's ready, you can do the screen. So the first one is financial stability. So Bob Jones, you want to read that to us? Or Bob? Somebody.
We'll delegate it to me.
Okay, reading reports.
Yeah, so, okay, so, we continue to maintain financial stability, taking into account the impact affairs have on island residents and ridership. Realizing the need to maintain and update assets as needed by seeking alternative funding sources.
Okay. What's the next one? Invest in our employees. Ours group, Bob R's group. And Rob, who's gonna read it? Rob
I'll read
or
it.
Mark? Has to be.
Actually, you've already practiced it. Be employer of choice by providing competitive salaries, having collaborative relationships among all employees, providing opportunities for training, development, advancement, and mentoring in order to empower employees. Having a workforce that reflects the diversity of the communities which they serve, recognizing each employee's value to the organization, creating an environment for open communication.
Okay. So those are their 2 sentences, equal. Good job. Next. Assets and infrastructure, that's you guys again.
Okay. So, to continue to invest in measures or best practices to obtain a higher level of sustainability, be open to innovation and anticipate infrastructure and vessel needs.
Okay. Next. Engage with our communities.
Yeah.
Jim?
You want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
The needs and expectations of the traveling public and the communities served are met, and the balance between growth and character of each is preserved. Everything the SSA accomplishes centers on care of the traveling public and our employees who entrust us with deliberate and responsible stewardship.
Okay, next. Safe and just add in safe and, please.
I guess we're not gonna do that.
Well, we were working on the vision statement, statement took a while, so I'm gonna add lib just a little bit, so
Captain Waldenberg, please.
okay, so to provide a safe and reliable service by implementing our successfully implementing our SQMS program and real-time communication capabilities. And improving our preventative maintenance program while also exhausting alternative rate for possibilities.
All right, you're gonna have to read
Give
it
it to-
slower, and Renee's gonna
All right,
count.
I'm gonna write it up. While I do that.
Just read it slower.
Sure, so to provide a safe and reliable service by successfully implementing our SQMS program and real-time communication capabilities.
Hold on.
Okay,
Okay,
and improving our preventative maintenance program while exhausting alternative rate work possibilities. Maintenance.
well, exhausting our what?
While exhausting, while exhausting alternative rate port possibilities.
Alternative rate or possibilities. Okey dokey. Vision, we have that.
No.
Did it come through yet?
Oh, vision statement, she has. You have it?
No, I haven't.
So we that to them. Emailed it.
We're fired. We had it yesterday.
You may let your review.
All right, this is a coup de grace right here. We were hard on
It's 2 quarters working together. Got it.
2 hours in that.
mentioned that. That was mentioned.
That sounds like a name.
Never mind, she got it.
Sounds like we got the drill.
All right, go ahead. Peter, would you read it?
Sure. In partnership with our port communities in the islands, Steamship Authority provides our travelers with the highest levels of safety and reliability. More than just a ferry transportation company, we are a vital part of our communities and value our commitment to the stewardship of the Cape and Islands.
That's why it took so long.
That's why we build by the hour.
Starting point, so let's, what we want to have as we walk out the door today maybe I can do it better. Is the draft in good enough shape that you're ready for public comment? But not, it doesn't have to be perfect today. We're gonna work towards it. The other thing is, we will ask for a little bit of editorial license at the end of today, so that we can make these all sound like they were written by one entity, same. that kind of stuff. Chatbot, yeah, the same AI chatbot. Okay. So that's what we're working for, and we're gonna do this work, I think for now, we're gonna stay in a big group, but we might reserve the right to go back to some small groups if we think that would be helpful. So vision statement, for those of you who aren't in the room with the brilliant people that came up with this, what's your reaction?
That's good, very good. Yeah.
Anything you would tweak? Yes,
I would, the idea of stewardship to me includes the waters in between. If there was some way to incorporate that, spoken like a true oceanographer.
okay,
But I do believe that's an important sort of tweak. That might say.
Cape, islands and
And it's-
waterways,
Yeah. that's what I said.
How about part
communities
communities
Okay.
environment?
comma, islands and waterways.
The Cape, the islands and its waterways.
Yeah, and
And
And it's waterways.
yeah. We share, because the Cape and Island share the same water.
Yeah.
As it turns out, I do this for a living.
Well, that's good.
you know,
Okay. That's what I do, all right? I can't turn it off. Terry knows. We fight for.
Should we name the waterways? Should we?
yes, Mark,
Yeah, it's-
called Mark R.
I would just say to distinguish this from a mission statement, put in a phrase in partnership with our port communities and islands. The steamship authority is committed to providing.
Yeah.
is committed to providing
Or.
our travelers.
Our travel.
that, but Mary's been around, so some words out.
Okay, so it's committed to providing,
Yeah, that's again to make that distinction between future thinking versus what's.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, fine.
other.
They don't want to tweak it too long.
We were not doing anything wrong now.
So waterways seems, if in the nation, we call it Nantucket being itself. I'm just, that's the captain and he was saying that. That's all.
Stewardship of the Cape Islands and Nantucket and Vineyard Sounds.
How about surrounding water?
The only problem with that. About the habit.
And what about when you bring a boat over from Fairhaven?
You know, it's- it's-
What about the Fairhaven community that we're a part of for the repair?
Well, that's why waterways might be more of a generic term.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
And
okay.
it's
with that.
waterways implies that it's.
So is it its, is it its or is it there? Because it's it, the Cape is its, the island is its, but together that's one of the variants. And the
Well,
water.
that would is very.
And.
Stewardship of our community.
Stewardship of communities and waterways.
Or surrounding waterways.
Islands and the surrounding waterways.
Maritime industry, maritime.
In our waterways.
Well, that kind of excludes Fairhaven. Because it's not part of the Cape, and it's not part of.
Okay,
the
and I'll get everyone else, and I'm gonna get Shannon before Sean, because we're gonna.
Happy with changing its stewardship of our communities and waterways. It's all inclusive.
We are a vital part of our communities and value our commitment to the stewardship.
Of these communities and our.
Yeah, the word.
So then you've got communities in there like 3 times 2, super close together.
Commitment, community, this is getting too.
Yeah. I
Well,
think it-
suppose you said we are a vital part of our communities and waterways and value our commitment to their stewardship.
There too.
Yes,
And you've taken.
that's what I was trying to say.
You were right.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking.
Okay.
I like it wrong.
Jack. Sean, do you
What-
have something to
I
add?
would echo what Mr. Munier said. If we say we are a vital part of our communities and value our commitments to their stewardship.
I'd say
Vital
communities
part
and
of our
waterways.
communities and value our commitment to their stewardship, period.
Report.
THEIR stewardship, and then get rid of the Cape Islands and waterways. We are a vital part of our communities and value our commitment to their stewardship.
Yeah, good. Simple as less is more.
Yeah, and yeah. It sounds, I would say to me, that sounds like your value you found with stewardship, as opposed to
Yes.
pledging yourself.
I don't think
Sorry.
That's all right, I got one, that's all right. How about in the vital part of our community, is pledge our commitment to the value?
And pledge our commitment.
To the stewardship.
Or our commitment.
Yeah.
We committed at the top.
Yeah, so you made a commitment.
Just say value our stewardship of the Cape Island.
To our communities and value.
You could also cut it short by saying sound. We are both now talking about vineyard sound. The words can be coverable.
Yeah, and see, now you don't like to turn so long, right?
All right, so I would say in general, what we're struggling with is there's a lot of redundancy between with words committed and communities, and we're not sure.
Which is
what we're
value our
pledging,
stewardship.
valuing. So you don't need to say we're a vital part of our communities, you just say more than just a transportation company. We are committed to the stewardship of, like you said, of the Cape Islands and our waterways.
And the reason that we have both the stewardship part and the vital part of our communities is we wanted to capture not only how we have to be stewards because of to mitigate any adverse impact we have on the poor communities and its harbors, but also recognize the economic advantages we bring to our poor communities. So that vital part of our communities is twofold. That's-
Yeah, and I think part of, you want them to recognize that too, that.
And that was something we have as a future thing to work on, as far as working with the economics of both ports, because it's confusing, there's a lot of
Right.
misunderstood mindsets over there.
I wonder if that introductory phrase is necessary, given the statement about being a vital part of the communities. If you just started with,
Yes.
steamship authority is committed to providing our travelers with the highest levels of safety and reliability. Well, more than just a transportation company, we are a vital part of our communities and value and pledge our commitment to the stewardship of the Cape Islands and our waterways. How does that work? Get rid of that first parenthetical? Or-
That's closely aligned to our mission statement.
Would you copy and paste the mission statement on the slide? We'll just put the mission right there so you can see it. It's in the.
Yeah, communities. That's fine.
Yeah. Thanks for. That the mission statement is now to operate a safe, efficient, and reliable transportation system for the islands of Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. The commitment to sustainability, accessibility, our port communities, and public engagement.
So they are different.
There's some overlap, but it's not.
It's an inspiration.
Yeah, Peter.
We wanted to make sure that our thought process in this was, we wanted it to be aspirational of what the mission statement would be if it was meant to its fullest, while trying to encompass the values that were presented to us.
Okay.
So that's why we made stewardship a big part.
Okay. Any other concepts missing from this? Really, for now, we'll hold it for now and try it on and go back to our success statements. So we have 5. Can you move profile on the slide? The one that's all simple. This is the best part when people are doing something behind the scenes with technology and it's like, we're all sweating and what are you doing?
Everyone stares at her, I think.
Stares at her.
Yeah.
Like even better on the Zoom.
That's probably better on Zoom, yeah. Okay. So I am ensure the possibility that is in their place. All right. You can believe it, I guess. Invest in our employees. is the next one. Oh, these are not together. The next one is enhance, maintain, and green our structure and assets. This is making more people, our communities, more provide safe and reliable.
No, this one right here is.
You just came to know what I mentioned. Okay, excellent. So let me first just say the 5 names of the buckets. Enhance and ensure financial stability, invest in our employees, enhance, maintain, and green our infrastructure and assets, engage with our communities, and provide safe and reliable service. Are we solid on those 5 names? For the buckets? None of the groups wanted to change their name. Okay. Because Julie will put them up here and then we can go to change them. So let's start with looking at how they all fit in. So there's we're gonna want to come up with kind of a consistent way of introducing these. And I understand the desire to want to use the word continue because you don't want to imply that you're not already doing it. But it's maybe not, we could drop the idea of continuing. We could just say, the Steamship Authority maintains financial stability by taking into account and then you start them all kind of similarly. The Steamship Authority is an employer of choice, or the Steamship Authority invests in our employees, or there's a couple of you know, one school of, this is painful for you guys, I'm sorry. You know, the first group kind of used a name. Steamship Authority and maintains, you could say, ensures financial stability by. The Steamship Authority invests in our employees by. You could do it that way where you're repeating the title. It's gonna get really long with some of them. But I don't like inconsistency, so.
Should you just start it with the verb taking into account I mean. I don't know, if for each one of these, you need to start with the steamship authority, that's kind of a given.
Yeah, we could start with ensure financial stability by,
Or even by taking. Because you already have ensured financial stability, so. Take into account the impact bears have.
well, but not all of them start in. Let's. Are there any concepts in financial stability that are missing from your all's perspective? You've got affordability. We've got looking for alternative funding sources. Anything else important?
Let's say that group knocked it out of the park.
If Bob was a primary author. I just think what's gonna affect me.
So the concepts are there. All right. Next one, investing in our employees. So these are providing competitive salaries, collaborative relationships, opportunities for training, development, advancement, mentoring, a workforce that reflects the diversity of communities you serve, recognizing employees' value of the organization, creating an environment for open communication. Is there anything that's missing in that in terms of concepts? It's obviously written very differently, so we need to work on that, but is there anything missing?
I think it says too much.
Yeah, what would you?
You wanna, you're not trying to maintain them either. You want them to stay and work with you for a long period of time, you're not.
Yeah. So the retention is important. Maybe it's in order to empower and retain employees, so it's
There you go, I like that. Power and retain.
the open communication one might be covered under collaborative relationships and those last two bullets, you might be able to.
I mean, I can explain what the difference was we got.
Please.
Under collaborative relations, we're really talking about labor and management, wanting that to be a very positive relationship to the extent that it can be. And then creating an open environment. Communications means that all employees are empowered. Transparency is important. It's a, quote, fearless organization where people don't, so those, they were viewed as two different things, even though you could combine them.
And to get the employees involved in the buying where it's not them being told what to do, it's their ideas and they're more vested in the success.
Could safe or safety be used in that sense?
Say again,
Safe or safety, a safe place to work.
provide a safe work environment.
Yes.
Okay. Add that as another concept. Yes, Peter.
While I'm all for a diverse workforce, I'm having trouble with having a workforce that reflects the diversity of the communities which they serve, since we aren't very much, any of these communities are very diverse compared to the rest of the Commonwealth.
No, say that again, neither.
I don't think many of the communities are that diverse. I would want it to be more diverse than the communities.
Kind of the school children in Pittsburgh school, Brazilian is their first language. And it's not widely spoken, and English is not widely spoken. And so certainly in the summer, you're right,
Right.
but to go back to.
Well, I'm trying to define what are we meaning by that? What are our communities?
That's fair.
Well, I can explain, the idea was that this was a pragmatic approach to diversity, meaning
Okay.
if we are at least as diverse as our communities, we're doing okay. Obviously, you'd like to reach for more of that, but it was trying to identify it as an important issue, but not to, make it something that was impossible to achieve.
Recognize the reality that's going on.
Okay. Any other concepts that you wanna question? Add, so we added the safe work environment, anything else? We're not gonna worsen this right now.
Retention.
Retention, yeah. We put empower and retain up there, we got that. Okay. Enhance, maintain, and green our infrastructure and assets. So we can just say invest in measures or best practice. What's a measure?
That's fine.
What's a measure of? Cup, teaspoon,
Measures means,
jigger.
measures means processes, like what, like say a hybrid vote versus an all effort. Measures that work,
Invest in best practices and practical solutions.
Investment, I think it's steps.
measures is a,
Incremental improvements, invest in incremental improvements.
yeah.
Or best
I mean,
practices.
you can't just say invest in stuff that works, that's too
Invest in
broad.
stuff that works. That's not modern enough.
But that's what it means, you can't say that.
Invest in incremental improvements and best practices.
I'm right over this morning, I sat with the guy, it was very green, he said, let somebody else waste their money before we waste ours.
Okay, sustainability.
Exactly.
Missing from this one? Yeah.
I think proven technology.
Excellent.
That's it. That's
Proven
another way of
technology
saying it.
and best practices. Added after. Proven technology.
I think we need like fiscally prudent or, we want to be, we have limited resources, we also want to target
Well,
this as well.
we're gonna put everything and everything. We've got finances up above, right? We've got a whole outcome area for you, Mark. Is that enough for you?
No,
It's never enough. It's all about the money.
How about investing fiscally prudent incremental improvements?
It seems to me like that first part of that sentence, they just slowing things down, and then we're accelerating in the last.
Kind of like a crescendo, right?
Yeah.
Try to get to the, yeah, it's like we incremental improvements, proven technologies and best practices. to get it-
It's innovation.
Yeah, and open innovation.
That doesn't sound right.
And when you say infrastructure, like with us, what does that mean?
I mean,
Because I mean, that includes buses and baggage cars.
Yeah.
And parking lots.
I'm just saying, I don't.
so that, it would include anything else, this in terms of green measures,
Because there's gonna be things that are easy to do, but they're not gonna be headlines. It's not gonna be a vote. It's gonna be buses. We're just gonna do something else.
It can't just be about green.
Just
It's be about all of your assets, planning for replacements, improvements, and maximizing their value.
And fiscally prudent, I like what Mark was saying.
And this is nothing more than.
But I mean,
There you go. You're thinking of those projects.
I think green every now and then.
You gotta have them in there.
You gotta go all, you're gonna go higher.
Vision that this is kind of a crescendo is. I thought you were liking it, but then the open it disturbed you.
Well, it's sort of, it's like saying,
What do we say, we are open to innovation and anticipate infrastructure investment needs by investing in incremental improvements, proven technologies and best practices.
that's it.
So just put.
Just flip it.
Okay.
In other words, we value it,
Yeah,
we're gonna do it wisely.
yeah. That's the push people. Okay. Did you get it? Yeah. Fine, that's. Okay, do you want to say? Anticipate the need to replace things and.
Upgrade.
Anticipate, well, how about just plan for infrastructure and vessel. Needs.
Yeah, we got there.
Investment. To ensure reliability and obtain a higher level of sustainability. To duplicate and provide safe and reliable. To ensure reliability and obtain a higher level of sustainability. What do you think?
Fiscal improvement,
You think fiscally prudent?
gotta be in there
Where
somewhere.
do you want to put that?
You're giving them an alternative, so you gotta do something there.
Are these statements working? We're not viewing them in isolation, we're viewing them as a whole, right?
You will view them as a whole. It is, together they make the framework, okay? So they are things that need to go well. And the statements then provide, you know, like if you're gonna, somebody said, here's $1 million, put in charging stations on the vessel.
So how
You
about,
would,
sorry, how about vessel needs by, prudent investments in incremental improvements?
prudent investments in incremental improvements, proven technology and best practices to ensure reliability and obtain a higher level of sustainability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was getting rid of the word incremental. That kind of seems like in by water.
Yeah, I agree, guys. As in your best.
Or you had your hand up, before we change it, what you had to say.
Yeah, I was just gonna actually push back on John a little bit from this change we just made, because we're open for innovation, but we want to use proven technology. Those are two sort of opposing things, and now we've opened with innovation.
Yeah.
I was gonna think the other way around, where we want to have used proven technology, best practice, while being open to innovation. So in other words, you know we want to take these more cautious steps. At the same time, we want to be open to innovation. Saying we're open to innovation and then qualifying it by saying we've got to be prudent, we're going to be incremental, we're going to be, you know, that's sort of backtracking. So I was thinking the other way. The way we originally was put, but maybe by saying while being open to innovation. We want to be open to innovation, but is that the primary push? If we, you know, when I heard from the group, it was like, you know, we don't want to be the first guy doing it. We want to be the one who's.
Right. Look at it, you're right, yeah, it's quite, I think, I could go into well. Well, I'm not on that.
Yeah. I'm not even.
Let's see what it looks like, change back.
We're looking at,
Hold on, we're looking at split, enhanced ATA green, but give us a second, we're gonna put it on a fresh slide. And now to duplicate it, like the way it was at first, would be, we made prudent, yeah, just to start with, we made prudent investments in incremental improvements. Proven technology and best practices to ensure reliability and to higher levels by being open to innovation.
While being.
While being open to innovation and planning for infrastructure investments. Yeah, that's fine. So, are we looking at the very bottom one? Well, that was the original. That's the original. Okay, so get rid of, just say invest or invest. And then. Yeah.
they know.
The one we need to so, invest in vendors.
How about this?
That's right. Oh, I see what you did, you put the original down. Yeah.
So Julia, what,
We want to flip it, so we want the end again, what you want is to say, wow. Being open to innovation. Higher level of sustainability, comma, so go to the middle one. Go to the middle one, and after sustainability, no. After the word sustainability. You can find record, just so you know, after sustainability, comma. Wow. Investing. While being open to innovation and anticipating infrastructure investment needs. And, it's just gonna start with, I would just say for now, Steve Authority makes. Okay, so kind of should contrast. So one is more close to the original one. The first one is the one where we flipped it, and the second one is closer to the original that Rob was kind of making a case for. What do you all think?
I think it needs to change. I think it should be,
Well, which one are we gonna work from? So John and Rob are having a little debate, so I'd like
I'm
to hear.
thinking that starting the top one. Have it, we plan for infrastructure, and vessel needs by prudent investments. In incremental improvement, proven technology, and best practices. While being open.
To innovation.
Take the last
Innovation,
sentence.
yeah.
I agree with Bob.
Very much.
That's good, Bob.
I think that pains me, because I don't get it.
What do you, how do you want to start?
So,
Yeah, I think
Mark, how do you talk about the law?
we're just starting to talk so a little bit, she can back.
We plan for infrastructure and vessel needs. By prudent investments. In incremental improvements,
Don't do it.
proven technology. And best practices. To ensure reliability. And obtain a high level of sustainability. While being open to innovation.
Okay, what do you all think of that?
That's good.
John and Rob, who are armors, you're happy now? Happy, everybody. Okay, but we're gonna go with.
Well, no. I'm gonna make. An argument to remove the word incremental. Because saying prudent investments in incremental improvements is a pretty weak statement.
Yeah.
Prudent investments in
Investments
in improvements.
Prudent investments in proven technology and best practices.
So take out
Okay, so take out
No, it says they need the improvements there, you took that out.
just one comment.
Yeah.
I can't get by the fact that we are open to. I mean, that's nice. Why aren't we doing it and saying what we're gonna do? Instead of we're open to. Well, you started out and read to the end. To me, if you left out, we are open to.
Well, I think he needs new. New innovation, not,
Technologies will change as,
yeah.
you know.
Well, maybe we need the word new.
There's two.
What I was hearing, I'm hearing Robert, I think, say, or Bob, sorry. That you don't feel like it's a strong enough statement, just being open to innovative. You're saying you want to be an innovative organization.
No, we already are.
I'm asking.
You're just-
Well, I'm asking-
Yeah,
What
I
you say.
understand what you said. I am very engaged.
I understand. Yeah.
That's why I'm pretty quiet, so. Say that again.
Are you saying that the statement is not bold enough and you want to claim being innovative?
When he's starting out, planning and things that's positive. I don't want to be just open to something. I just want to, plan for the future and do A, B, and C. Putting things together like this is very difficult. I've done it before, and I find that when you try to get a room full of people to put their words and things like that,
It's the best part of every day.
I usually, when I write something like this, I craft it. And when you were talking about, taking the stuff and putting it under, one market and things, and I think that what this whole thing needs is to polish.
Yeah, it does. I'm just concerned about the content. So if you want innovation in or not is what I was just trying to get a feel for.
I don't have any problem with it.
Okay. So we're gonna work from this middle statement, pardon me? Bottom statement, sorry. We're gonna work from that statement. And we will polish it. Okay. Let's go back to the other one. You can copy that one and put it there.
I think you took out one word, was the word improvements.
Incremental improvements, yeah, I think we did take that out.
They were just looking to take out incremental, not.
Oh, okay.
That they
Prudent investments, okay, prudent investments. In prudent investments in improvements, improvements, okay, got it. Okay. I know this is painful. We will take editorial license at the end of the day and before we. But my concern now is just concepts. I don't want anything to be left out. So engage with our communities. Anything in that statement that's missing? Needs and expectations.
That is.
of the traveling public.
Yeah.
And the communities served are met. And the balance between growth and character of each is preserved. Growth and character, what is each?
Each communities and the traveling public.
Each community. Do you consider that, so are the communities serve the islands or are the communities served also the port communities?
Both.
It's both. Is that clear? Okay. Everything that Steamship Authority accomplishments centers on care to the traveling public. Employees, I'm just trying to, what I'm trying to understand in this one is the engaged piece. In the second sentence,
There you go. Sorry.
where's the engagement piece? So this is supposed to be about engaging with our communities.
Right.
Tell me what that how does that second sentence describe success for engaging with our communities?
We're engaging with the traveling public and we're engaging with our employees.
Right.
We trust them.
Well, care of traveling public, to me, that sounds like you're gonna take care of me when I'm on the boat.
No, it's more of an overarching.
Yeah.
It's an overarching care.
More on the whole than.
Just the care of the traveling public, so that's the people on the boat, care of our employees. That to me is who that's speaking to. People who ride boats and people who work.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Any others,
And
questions about this, concerns, things missing?
That sentence or those sentences before?
Both.
Okay, so in the sentence before it, expectations of the traveling public and the communities served. I think it should be are recognized in a balance between growth and character of each is preserved.
Yeah. No,
Because some-
That,
and met, recognized and met.
But we're not gonna do it. No,
That's true.
sometimes we can dynamically opposed to one
Yeah,
another.
right, I agree, the multiple constituents in there, remove that word.
And the balance between growth and character of each.
I recognize and a balance between both.
And a balance. In growth and character of each.
Are we preserving the balance or are we considering a balance? Is it really up to us to preserve a balance? Or can we preserve that balance?
Is there a balance?
Well, is there?
In terms of the decision, one of us, we are,
Mike,
in terms of one island, we are. Both of them. Under growth and character. With the strict.
Mike, this is my concern. So what you all put on this piece of paper is all about relationship and communication. As someone reading it, like outsider, I'm not getting that from this. Do you get relationship and communication?
Yeah.
Yeah? People who didn't work on
We have no pride about it.
it. Yeah, I know.
Take a shot at it. No worries. I don't see communication.
Yes, Peter.
I guess the second sentence about everything the SSA accomplishes center on care of the traveling public and employees. Looks to leave out the port communities. And I thought one of the big things was being more communicative with the port communities and hearing their concerns. I know some of that's addressed in the first sentence, but I know a big issue is that the port communities are second to the travelers.
But why don't you do, care of the traveling public, work, our communities and our employees.
That would address that.
That's good.
Why do the employees have to be in there at all?
Well, they are one of the communities. One of our communities. They're a stakeholder.
These are values of employees, right? I'm looking at that, I work for the SSA. It's my vision.
And they do have a whole bucket.
Have you ever whole bucket?
Invest in our employees is a bucket.
Yeah.
All right, what if you change that employees to our stakeholders?
Our communities and stakeholders.
Yeah.
Care of the traveling public, our communities and stakeholders.
Or other, it should be, or,
Deliberate
and our other stakeholders.
Yeah, in our, yeah, our work.
No, I was saying, and traveling public are, well, you could say, our traveling public, our port communities, and our other stakeholders.
That's good.
Yes, they are.
We should live on a positive.
Yeah, other stakeholders.
One of the times.
I think that whole community.
Our port communities.
Well, there are other stakeholders.
Here, okay.
They are other stakeholders, or they're members of the traveling public.
All right. Next one, safe, reliable, anything else on this one before I move you on? Safe, reliable service. So I think SQMS is great and everyone's gonna have to look at it, right? Like, it's very dark.
Safety quality management.
Not Western.
Think about this, yeah. Safe,
Say safety
reliable
program.
service.
Safety and quality program. Say that. Yeah.
Our safety and
Program.
quality program ensures
Programs.
safe and reliable service.
But you need to name the program. Just say that we're gonna do it, it doesn't, we need the mechanism and how we're gonna do it.
Plural. Program.
So I guess we're saying adopting a culture of safety.
Yeah, but this is gonna be something that's gonna be 5 years from now. You still want it to hold true? We'll want implemented a safety and quality program, so whether it's just provide safe and reliable service. So, I'll just take that whole thing out.
Well, then,
In real time communication.
You gotta have something in there about safety and quality programs.
To provide safe and reliable service through our safety and quality program.
How about through a culture of safety and
Yeah, that's.
Oh, there you go.
yeah, Culture.
About using best
of
practice.
safety and quality. There you go. Culture.
I missed the first one, but I got it.
You got one.
All right, thank you. That's all I need.
Terribly.
Okay, no, I'm leaving.
With you on the one. Yes, Paul.
So we put West Coast Guard regulations? Because that's, we have to follow that too, that's the president.
And then you get DOT, you get all the other.
Yeah,
But the best is follow that.
Yeah.
For what this is.
Safe and reliable service through a culture of safety and quality, comma, real-time communication capabilities, comma, and preventative maintenance. So we're not gonna name programs, we're gonna say the things that get you safe and reliable. What does this last little piece here mean, while exhausting alternative freight port possibilities? What are you trying to say? Look at something there, I don't know.
well, one of the stickies, as well as one of the port communities very focused on this, is to see about the possibility of off-Cape freight.
Okay, so that to me sounds like a next level to do, like, we're gonna look at alternative ways of getting freight to the vineyard. As a specific action you would take, as opposed to driving success. Generally,
That almost should go in the engage with our communities, the
What?
one above it, the other port, because it's really engaging with the communities, how do you get it to work?
well, again, I think it's a to-do, I don't think it's a outcome either.
What about in the first sentence, to provide a safe and reliable service through regulatory compliance, comma, culture of safety and quality?
Right, safe and reliable service through regulatory compliance, comma, a culture of safety and quality. Or just what you said, and safety, a culture of safety and quality, period.
Yeah.
Because isn't like it, I mean, like, real-time communication, that's gonna be a to-do, right? You're gonna probably have to action on that. Preventative maintenance is part of maintaining your infrastructure and assets. What are you lawyers joking about?
Billable hours.
And they're billing you for that.
We spent more time on the vision statement.
Yes.
Right, safe and reliable service through regulatory compliance and a culture of safety and quality.
About best practices instead of safety. You're not repeating the term safety twice.
What I'm wondering is this different enough from enhance, maintain, and green our infrastructure and assets? I don't wonder if those are.
What happened to real time communications?
The two distinct things.
Are very different.
No, it's definitely two separate things.
Okay,
And the issue is that we're investing in the safety and quality management system. Invest a lot of time.
that's
in
a
it.
to-do though.
No, I
It's not-
understand that, but that's gonna fundamentally change the steamship authority. It is fundamentally changing the steamship.
It's
authority.
creating a culture of safety and quality. Okay, so that's the outcome. So the to-do doesn't have to be there. The to-do is what you're doing. This is describing success.
And to Peter's point, I think we need something about the communications to go into that as well as the reliable service, that it might be delays and stuff like that. We need to get the people, our ridership, the information, or our employees, the information to pass that on.
So,
That's the reliability.
so we'll add, and real-time communication with our customers. Is that okay to use that word in this context?
How about effective I mean, I know what you're going with.
To our employees and customers.
Yeah.
You need both. If the employees don't have it, then it's not good.
You're
How about we
saying-
say effective?
You're saying take up real time.
What word do you want to use instead of real time?
That-
Effective, okay. Safe and reliable service to regulatory compliance and culture of safety development and effective communication with our employees. and customers. Okay.
could be changed customer to the traveling public.
And the traveling public. Okay. We will do that instead of customers.
Gotta be specific.
All right. Janae, would you
Keep trying to
put
do
that up the vision
Keep
statement
it straight.
and put these on separate slides?
Wordsmith. But not some of the name.
What I want to do is, I want to wrap you guys up here, I think, because this. And we need to work on getting these to sound ready for prime time. So we will take a cut at making them sound like one person wrote them. I promise not to put it in a survey until Bob and Sean have seen it. So we'll take care to circle back and get some feedback on it. The vision outline. Want to look one more time at the vision statement.
Good.
We still have commitment twice
The second commitment should go. Just pledge,
and pledge
to the stewardship of the Cape Island.
and pledge to the stewardship of the Cape,
Pledge ourselves.
Our stewardship, yes.
to the stewardship of the Cape Islands and our waterways. Okay. So Julie, you have one other observation. correct? Good more about it.
You're trying to.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's all right.
So you just say steamship authority provides instead of providing, provides. You want to say traveling public, since you did that throughout the rest of the document. Provides the traveling public to the highest levels of safety and reliability, more than just a ferry transportation company. We are a vital part of our communities and pledge ourselves to the stewardship of the Cape Islands and our waterways. It does, okay.
What does, what would that?
Maybe passengers.
Patrons.
We don't give patrons at anything.
Committed to providing our patrons.
I said we don't use patrons.
The highest level of safety and reliability.
I like travelers better than patrons, but I don't care. I don't like travelers.
Where I feel like.
I think we had it and then now we're fussing with it too much. I just they go back to providing our preventing travelers.
That's something we can always adjust the custom, depending on the feedback of
Right.
customers.
What
That's,
if you just said committed to providing the highest levels of safety and reliability? Right,
So.
you can just take out to providing, Steamship Authority is committed
Yeah.
to the highest levels of safety and reliability. I would put a semicolon here, then more than. It's probably important, yeah, they're not our customers, they're still. Vital part of this.
So now we have.
Okay,
Yes.
you good with this? Yes, yeah, you feel inspired? One by one, and then I'm gonna let you get out of here. Nat, will you read this one?
Sure. Ensure financial stability by taking into account the impact as have on island residents, ridership, realizing the need to maintain and update assets that needed by seeking alternative funding.
Okay. Anything missing on financial sustainability?
I think the period in realizing is sort
We'll fix the
of,
grammar.
yeah, okay, no, but the language in this is actually really good.
Okay,
I mean.
next one,
If you ensure.
Peter.
Be an employer of choice by providing competitive salaries, having collaborative relationships amongst all employees, providing opportunities for training, development, advancement, and mentoring in order to empower and retain employees, having a workforce that reflects the diversity of the communities which they serve, recognizing each employee's value to the organization, creating an environment for open communications, provide a safe work environment.
Okay, and we're gonna turn this into 2 sentences, okay? Any concepts missing?
No,
Okay, next one. Enhance, maintain, and green. Mark are the board member. Do you read this?
Be planned for infrastructure and vessel needs by prudent investments and improvements, proven technology and best practices to ensure reliability and obtain a higher level of sustainability while being open to innovation.
Okay. Rob M, you wanna read the next one?
The needs and expectations of the traveling public and the communities served. Notice how traveling has
I know.
2 L's in some and 1 L in others. I think it's a 1 L actually, but it is.
It's fun and yeah.
The needs and expectations of the traveling public and the community served are recognized, and a balance between growth and character of each is preserved. Everything that SSA accomplishes centers on care of the traveling public, our port communities, and other stakeholders who entrust us with deliberate and responsible stewardship.
Just one question, and this is the only time I've ever seen y'all use SSA as opposed to steamship or steamship authority.
Our internal style guide calls for SSA or steamship authority or the authority, not steamship, but We can talk
Whatever
about it
uses
later.
steamship.
that's fine.
Okay, good. I mean, I don't mind being consistent, but I,
People will know what SSA is.
it's actually backwards.
I always think
it is.
so.
Thanks, John.
Safe and reliable service. If you can read this one.
Because that's what it's about here.
Provide safe and reliable service through regulatory compliance, a culture of safety and quality, and effective communication with our employees and the traveling public.
Okay, is that it? I know more. Okay, yeah, we're good. Okay,
Well, we go back to the vision, because I thought what we had there originally was stronger than what we want now.
you know, the original,
When you brought up the slide originally.
the original slide.
Yeah, and then we got wordsmithing it, and I thought, by the time we're done. Yeah, we got harder with it.
When it was up,
Just
we
the-
put it on the line, so
So that is part of it.
One long one and put it on this one.
One we originally put up, very first time.
Forget about what we can they just put out.
Yes.
But what?
We came up with four. Yeah.
These.
That was,
Just have.
Email
no, the
from.
vision, not this. Yeah.
One wants the one that.
Okay, Terry. Makes prudent investments in proven technology. and-
No. And the version of paragraph 1 there, before we got into wordsmithing, here's yours.
You go back to the one that has the three of them on it. They want to get into provide someone at the bottom. The one at the bottom.
That's the one we came up with.
Yes, the one in the middle was your original.
Very good.
Oh, no.
That was before that yellow highlight.
That was an outlook area, that wasn't a vision statement. Partnership with our port communities in the islands, Steamship Authority provides our travelers with the highest level of safety and reliability.
That's
More than just a
the
fair
first question.
transportation, they are a vital part of our community's humans. Of the Cayman Islands.
No,
And move it out of waterways.
That's not it.
So what's your,
That was the first one.
that's the first one you also.
All right, where are we? Not the first.
You mean this one? One of these?
I mean, these aren't final,
You mean these?
right?
No.
Yeah.
When we started this process, the slide that came up on road vision, I think that, and we got into
This is
it.
what we present by that group. So that bottom,
Yeah, we got to a point this where I was happy with it and then.
oh, well.
And since it's still well,
But did you- I promise that you don't like them.
That's going like, okay, back.
Travelers with the highest levels.
No, I'm good. I'll check it out.
Should it be provided?
Okay,
Good enough.
good enough. Okay, get rid of that bottom. I know this was. Despite me making you wordsmith. We do have to take some public comment
Yeah.
before I do a closing, which I'm gonna do, and you'll still make whatever. you
can you stop sharing your screen, please? Is
And we will stop sharing our screen.
there any old or new business? There we go.
Yeah, that's right.
Rob, is there any old or new business? From the chairman?
Just so you know,
Might be. Where?
We're gonna say.
can't hear you. And we will make do a closing, so I don't know how that fits in your older new business, but I've got one more thing to go on. for
No, it's fine. Let's just do public. Can we do public comment
Yes,
first?
just do a
Okay,
public comment.
Kate,
I would like to suggest, I'm Kate Warner, the energy planner at the Martha's Vineyard Commission, and I would like to suggest that your vision statement is not visionary enough. I would like to suggest that it say the steamship, in its role as a lifeline, responds to changing climate conditions, is a steward of our planet, islands, port communities, and waterways, while striving to provide safe, reliable, and affordable service.
Thank you. Anybody else?
yeah, Mary,
Thank you. This is Mary Longacre on Nantucket. Don't get me wrong, I love businessmen and engineers, but the flavor of what you've produced very strongly reflects that perspective. And so I would ask you to think about whether there is, for instance, an artistic perspective that might color this a little bit. I'm thinking about some of the ways that the Steamship Authority has made its facilities beautiful. And I don't see that as an aim in all of what you've been talking about today, but I do think it is very important. I think you hinted at it a little bit when you mentioned the character of the community, but I think there's more that you could say there if you'd like to reflect on that. Thank you. Also, I want to say it's really great to see the Board of Governors, the Port Council, and the staff all working together and looking at the Steamship Authority as a whole, and not just representing the individual perspectives of the communities or the problem of the day. It's really been wonderful to watch this process today. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, we're good.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, wonderful. So thank you all very much. I do know this was, it gets hard when we're in the wordsmithing. So again, we're gonna clean this up a little bit, get it ready for prime time, get community input for the next, we'll start in about 2 weeks or May 14th, somewhere in there. We'll go through the end of, middle of July, with like 8 weeks of public input via survey and some community meetings that we will be planning, as well as ferry rides. And then we'll be back, bring you all of that information back, reflected in a new frame, updated framework based on the community perceptions that you all will get to tweak and finalize. Another day of words. Also, you'll start identifying the to-dos, the things that you're interested in. And some of we got to today that people are like, oh, but we want to have real-time communication. That's a specific action. We'll start to get at those when we get together in August.
In addition to the QR codes, we're gonna put it on our website too, correct?
Yeah, we'll talk
Okay.
about how to get it out, and we put it on the website, we can QR codes, email distribution list, we're gonna ask some cooperation from the towns as well, so we will let us to get it out there. So we're just gonna close with a word. Just kind of one word that sums up the day. And Rob, I always give the chair to the chance to go first or last. One word, so you can go last or you can go first.
Oh, I'll go first. Teamwork.
Teamwork. Okay, and Janae's capturing these, so I'll kind of. Rob,
Listening.
Sean,
Anticipation.
Bud,
Effective.
Jim,
Productive.
Newmark,
I repeat teamwork.
Paul,
Coordinating,
Dan,
coordinating,
coordinating. Rob, no, Bob, sorry, gosh. so hard.
progressive,
Progressive. Bob Davis,
cooperative,
Joe,
informative,
John,
Impressive.
Allison, Bill, Matt,
Collaboration.
Terrence,
Productive.
Peter,
Forward.
Mark,
Tours, mission driven.
okay, we'll have the names.
Right.
Mission driven. And Mark.
Informative.
Y'all been great. Thank you so much. We will be in touch.
Mr. Chairman, we get a motion to adjourn.
Can we have a motion to adjourn, please?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. We'll take a roll call, I guess.
There's a roll call by the.
roll call.
Yeah.
Malcolm, aye.
Jones,
Jeffrey, I.
Randy, aye.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.